It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul ThreatLocker is here. Actually, he's in Macungie. Richard Campbell's in Acapulco, but we are going to talk about CES. Neither of them are in Vegas, but there were a lot of new PCs. We'll get you the rundown for that. We'll also talk about Windows. Is it being rewritten? Maybe, maybe not. And Paul's got a pick for his favorite local AI. That and a whole lot more coming up next on Windows Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul ThreatLocker and Richard Campbell, episode 965, recorded Wednesday, January 7th, 2026. Almost meet. It's time for Windows Weekly. Oh my gosh, the first show of 2026. Hello, all you winners. Hello, all you dozers. Hello to Paul ThreatLocker in Macungie, Pennsylvania. Hello, Paulie.
Hello, Leo.
Happy New Year. Hello.
Hello.
Could you be cheerful for one show?
I don't think we have enough drugs for that. But yeah, I mean, this.
I don't know. I don't know what we would do with a cheerful Paul.
It would just be annoying.
But I'm always happy to see you. Did you have a? Well, wait. Before we talk about the holidays, let's say hello to Richard Campbell, who is also with us. He's in Acapulco.
Yeah, because the great gray of the Pacific Northwest gets old fast. So it's good to get a couple of weeks of sunshine.
I bet. How nice. So the last time we talked, you guys were sitting around the fire in snowy Macungie, enjoying a little bit of a tipple talk. It was fun. We told stories. That was really a fun show.
I had immersed myself in Pennsylvania whiskey.
Right.
It's all of those stories.
It's an excellent exfoliant, I believe. But
we had some Icelandic whiskey over New Year's, which was terrible.
Really?
If you ever thought to yourself, you know what whiskey needs is a vague fish taste, then try this.
Oh, no.
I think it's going to become the new gag gift that everyone gets at some point because I've already given it to my brother-in-law as a thank you for whatever he did for us over the holidays, and he was like, "Is this a punishment or
what did I do to you?"
To be fair, Iceland's not known for whiskey; they're known for.
And they never will be based on this first taste.
I mean, if you go to Iceland, there are native beverages, I think, aren't there, that they prefer?
No. Probably.
I'm sure there's schnapps like
fermented whale oil.
Yeah.
I don't
fermented shark. Yeah. That's just
anyway.
Everyone in the room tried it and was like, "Oh, this is bad." And I was thinking, I'm going to get to it, and I'm going to be like, "These people just don't know whiskey." And I was like, "Oh God, like what happened? This is not good."
Nothing will be worse than the Silicon Valley whiskey I had. I think I let you taste that one. That was fabricated by machine.
Nice.
Tasted a little rubbery.
It was an 18A process. It was nice.
They were doing some sort of chemistry thing. I don't know. Anyway, gentlemen, you, I note, are not in Las Vegas along with the rest of the world.
No, it's because I value my time and my sanity.
They say attendance is way down too. Like it's
last year was 130,000. Not that many this year.
Yeah,
I don't know why anyone goes to this thing.
I don't either, to be honest.
There, as a tech writer, journalist, whatever you want to call me, there's certain times of the year I cannot stand, and the Black Friday, all the holiday sale, it's just everyone selling crap, And then this week it's just like, like I referenced in the notes, like the 4K hummingbird feeder. It's like, guys, could we not focus on the stupid for 2 seconds? Can we just pretend there isn't all this like someone who just went to CES and was like, all right, I wasted all my time, but I found these 3 things that are totally
they were awesome.
That would be fine. But you know what? I can do that from here. So
in fact, that's what I did. I looked, there's some nice laptops.
Yeah. I'm actually a little surprised by some of that in a good way, I should say.
All the chip makers made announcements too.
Yep.
Of course, the story this year is AI and robots.
Yay. Yeah, so now that we can move past agenic finally, and we're just going to go to full humanoid robots. So they're going to walk around your house cleaning up and stuff. It's just like, guys.
So we're going to, next show, we're going to talk about, we got Jason Heiner. He's going to be on the phone from the airport talking about the AI story at CES. And then Sunday on TWiT, We've got Father Robert. We've got Jason Heiner, and we've got Jennifer Pattison Tui. Let me move myself over to the left so it doesn't confuse people. Those three are all in Vegas right now. Those poor folks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jennifer's covering home automation. Robert, looks for all the interesting gadgets, and Jason he's by the way no longer at ZDNet. He now writes for an AI forward newsletter.
Really?
He's the editor-in-chief there. So he's there to cover AI. So we've got a lot of CES coverage. But I'm counting on you guys. Oh, Paul, you're not in the middle. All right, sorry. Let me move everybody around. There we go. I'm counting on you guys to fill us in on the PC story there.
Yeah.
Microsoft doesn't go anymore. Is Intel there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, they did a big presentation, actually. So just to kind of put this in perspective, I guess, typically these companies, Intel, AMD, and also, Qualcomm on and off, they're on their own thing, but typically announce new processors at IFA in Berlin in the fall, right, in September, early September. And none of them did, So
Wow.
everyone talks about how Snapdragon is on kind of the slow boil schedule, whatever. And yeah, maybe, I don't know. I can see that. But
I think
Intel and
Qualcomm's
AMD,
just learning to make processors at this speed. We make a new processor every year thing. That's not by nature. That's a decision.
it may not be necessary. So I would say, it's hard to say this now, or think about this, but about a year and a half ago, when in the wake of the Copilot PC stuff with first gen Snapdragon, AMD and Intel both announced new gen at the time, Lunar Lake and Zen 5 chipsets, which both were big improvements in some ways over their predecessors, right? The AMD was a dramatic improvement. So this year, or this CES, AMD's next gen, so instead of AI 300 series, AI 400 series, still Zen 5, is what I would call a minor bump. The Intel stuff, performance-wise, graphics and processor, and actually NPU sort of, but graphics and CPU are dramatically better. Mm-hmm. And this was the one when Richard was here. I was hoping to get like a prototype of one of these Panther Lake laptops, and the first one I got was just like the previous gen, same old. And I was like, oh. But then I don't know if you were here when it happened, but eventually I did get one. So for the past,
I think I'd left. But yeah.
Okay, right around, yeah. So almost a month now, I've been using this Panther Lake laptop, which I have to say is pretty fantastic, other than what I'm going to call the standard Intel reliability issues, right? But as far as like performance and possibly efficiency, there's still some things I need to figure out. It's actually a big deal.
Is Panther Lake the successor to Lunar Lake?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I have that Lunar Lake ThinkPad X1 Carbon.
Yeah,
and
the
I'm
Aura
loving
edition.
it.
Yep. And for that kind of stuff, it's great, right? Yeah. So the thing this is now a couple of years old. In fact, it was starting with Meteor Lake, which I have to think back is 2+ years ago now. I can't remember. Almost 3 years. Was the first, AMD was doing this too, but at the time, it was the first time you could get a laptop and actually play AAA games pretty well on like a standard, productivity laptop. And Lunar Lake and Zen 5 made that much better, especially Zen 5. And now with Panther Lake and second gen Zen 5, which is AI 400.
I was listening to Richard when I bought the laptop because I got the impression that AMD on a laptop is not yet as good as Intel. But that's not your experience? I'm not gaming on
it's
this
more reliable to me.
Intel.
Reliable.
Or
no,
AMD.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It's funny you say that because I built those two machines, one of which I did on the show, and one I did as an Intel machine and one as an AMD machine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Guess which one isn't working right now?
I don't have to guess. Yeah.
Which one? I don't know. AMD?
Yeah.
No, the Intel.
No, the Intel's down, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I love this. Maybe I misunderstood, but I thought AMD for desktop. I have the Strix Halo desktop, and Intel for laptop only because of power, and because I'm using Linux. I really didn't want to go with Snapdragon yet.
They can both be fine. They're never going to be as efficient or quiet or reliable as like Snapdragon, but a lot of this is on the PC maker, right? Their ability to, through firmware, make up for what of the issues are with the chips and everything. Like Lenovo is the biggest PC maker in the world. They do a great job with that stuff. HP tends to do a really good job too.
We learned that a couple of years ago, how much the OEMs do to make up for.
And we learned that because Microsoft wouldn't do it. And their products were terrible. Weird.
They didn't. They had never made a computer before. They didn't know.
Right, and it showed
what the process
that.
was.
Yeah. It's like we've been dictating what these things should be for years. We got this. Yeah, no, you don't.
No,
but
you have no idea how much work the OEMs put in to make this stuff good. I have to say, the X1 now, and maybe it's a Linux thing. I don't know, but when I open the lid, turns on like that.
Yeah, that's what you're looking for.
In every respect, it's as good as a MacBook, and really, that's what I was looking for. Which was, I'm kind of thinking I want to go non-proprietary with all of my systems now, and.
So we're gonna
Windows and Mac. I think they're converging on this world. You know what? Okay, here I'll run this by you, Paul. I don't want to interrupt.
This is a big thing for me right now. But go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead.
Honestly, the kernel, the stuff that's doing the work, I'm sure. The Mach kernel on Apple, the Windows kernel on Windows, and the Linux kernel are roughly capable, equally capable.
I think that's fair.
So really what you're looking at is the customization on top of that. That's what distinguishes one from another.
It's
the hardware, of course.
Hardware, driver, compatibility. It's going to be just kind of fit
and the user interface. All of that's dictated.
Yes.
And so Microsoft has its point of view about that. And when you choose a Windows machine, you're choosing Microsoft's point of view.
Microsoft's point of view is a blender.
I'm not making any aspersions yet,
right?
But I'm merely saying that Apple also has its very dogmatic point of view about what that experience should be. And both of them of late, and we were talking about this yesterday on Security Now, as is Google with Android, are really pushing code signing, locking this stuff down. Yeah. And I understand for security reasons and for naive users, it's probably a good thing.
Well, but I also when your house is on fire, what you worry about is insulation and
you lock the doors, right?
Yeah, it's just your perspective. Like when Linux had the benefit of that's 30 years ago, by the way, but coming around in a world where Windows was taking over the world and was hugely unreliable, right? And so they had something to shoot for there, right? Unix levels of not just functionality, but also performance, reliability, security, etc.
But I'm going to even stipulate that, roughly speaking, Mac, Windows, and Linux are, roughly speaking, performance-wise equivalent. Let's assume that. There are going to be pros and cons in all of those.
I would actually argue that
within an order of magnitude.
but yeah, okay. Yes. Okay, fair.
To me, the biggest difference, I've always said this, you choose a laptop based on your keyboard and screen. It's the UI, it's the thing that you're interacting with is what matters to you, presuming that the underlying stuff is performance.
A lot of it's also apps, right? Like, if you think back 20 years, right? So Mac OS 10's out, Apple's doing great stuff with, sorry, I just heard the alarm, but Apple's doing great stuff.
On fire. Don't worry. Just lock the doors.
It's an earthquake. It's fine. Apple was doing great technical work with Mac OS 10, but they had trouble getting app developers. Remember, Adobe was a big holdout for a while to get their apps over. So the app gap was kind of a big problem. So I think with the advent of web apps,
you have to consider that. Yeah.
This is I think it's less of an issue now than it's ever been. Right.
I think the differences on all three are evening out as time goes by.
I think a lot of this is just inertia. It's what people are used to.
I'm choosing an operating system that I decide, and that's the beauty of Linux, is because it's anything you want basically, because there's so many people using it, and it's everybody gets it. So I want an operating system that no company's made a decision about how I use it. I get to make that decision. So now puts the onus on the user. So a lot of people, it's not appropriate. But I prefer this.
I don't remember I was telling this over the holidays, but if you think back like to the mid 1990s again, Brian Livingston is writing his Windows Secrets books, and back then there were secrets, in the sense that mainstream users there were things we just didn't know. Right. But as you move forward 10, 15 years, 20 years, whatever. There's no more secrets. There's no more secrets, right? We have the internet, everything's out there. And so for a while it becomes like, well, here's the correct way, if you will, to configure things, right? And if you just move forward to today, I find myself more and more, and this is something I've noticed in the books because I kind of did this in stages. It's like Here's how you reverse the crap that Microsoft did that is so anti-consumer and anti-user that it's become a problem. And so you're basically de-insurtifying it. And that's become like the focus. It's like, how do I make this thing behave well for me?
Yeah.
It's a different focus, you know, and the only problem I have with Linux at all, literally, is just that it's just not enough of and it just works experience for most people. Like it's good for, like, if I wouldn't put my wife or my brother or a normal mainstream user on Linux, just because there would be too many questions, there'd be too many, like, maybe workflows or apps they're used to that aren't there. You know, maybe it's like a seamless cloud sync, you know, that you might get with iCloud or OneDrive or whatever. There's just some rough edges, you know, but it's dramatically better than it used to be. And as far as like reliable and stuff, I put Elementary OS, the latest version, on some HP laptop, and it has that experience you're talking about where you open the lid, it actually comes on. I'm like, that's fascinating because this does not work with Windows. You know, so that happens. But yeah, I mean, Leo and I at some point had kind of, we both had come to this, like, in the end, I feel like open wins, you know, when it comes to computing platforms.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cycle. You start with a closed system first where you control all the variables until you get it to a working state. Mm-hmm. And then you can create a more open system with multiple vendors to drive down prices and give you more choice. But the open platform has to be relatively stable. So the walled garden always comes out with the new stuff first, and it works.
Because it's way easier if you control everything.
If you control all the variables.
Work. If you just look at some of the cross-platform stuff that even Microsoft is struggling to get done that Apple did many years ago, even with Android, which is basically open source, it's hard. You know, it takes years to get that stuff going. And then you can't get it going at all with an iPhone because Apple locks that down, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, this is like, in some ways, is a very enthusiast-centric conversation in a way, because I think for most mainstream users,
the average consumer does not care. They just want to do their thing.
And you know, when you look at even people are like Apple fans, you know, like they're like, I have an iPhone, I have an Apple Watch, I get an iPad, you know, like, do you have a Mac? You're like, you know, like there's a stigma associated with these computers that are basically for work, because everything fun now happens on this fun device that you have, you know. Yeah. And for me, I'm actually really into productivity and efficiency and all that. So for me, taking the onus off Windows, in my case, to be the center of everything was actually kind of a good thing, because it, you know, or theoretically at least, allows it to focus on that stuff, the stuff that matters to me, or, you know, I'm trying to get something done, you know. And then, you know, of course, Microsoft can't help themselves, so they've been ruining it. But, you know, that's sort of the idea.
Well, and certainly our conversations between the Snapdragon machines and the AMD and Intel machines is just the layers of cruft that are in the older flavor of Windows. The Windows on ARM just stripped away literally a generation worth of cruft. And so, of course, the open the screen and it just starts up. It makes a huge difference.
I still, to this moment, it's over here. When I came home from Mexico,
Microsoft has known this the whole time. This is what 10 had been trying to get us to.
Well, this is what RT was. This was, we see that these things are more reliable. They're more efficient. They have these instant-on experiences. They have instant-on connectivity experiences, which, you know, on the PC was, you know, not so common. And we need to get this thing to be more of a device-type system. Yeah. And look, you can take something big and complicated and chop away at it, or you can take something brand new and kind of build it up. There's different ways to do this, but
the power of iOS.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, though, they had to chop away to get to iOS.
iOS had nothing, and then it had to be built.
But now, when Apple builds a new Apple TV OS or this HomePod OS, or whatever they're going to call it, or whatever it is, they build from iOS up. You know, like you have this. Well, they do. I mean, that's how they do it. They have this componentized system, and we'll build the pieces we need for this special purpose device.
We did that 10X show, and, you know, really came to that same thing, which was everybody's got an app that won't run, and it's always a different app. And as soon as that app doesn't run, they give up.
The thing they should have done, Microsoft, with 10X or with anything, just with Windows, I guess at this point, is they had this modern app. They still have it, but this modern app platform. Well, actually, they don't still have it. I'm sorry, but they have this modern app platform that's basically mobile based. It has all these mobile platform capabilities. It's really cool. It goes to sleep automatically, comes back instantly, et cetera. It gives up memory, blah, blah, blah. One click uninstall. There's no files everywhere. You get all that stuff. It's nice. But like you said, this is one click thing, one app thing rather. And the 10X system was designed so that there were containers for each of the apps. These things would be sandboxed. Yeah. But Win32 desktop apps, all of them would run in a single container. Right. And it was like, oh, it's too bad you couldn't figure out because what you really want is that one app running in its own container where it can't screw up anything else related to Win32. It's all by itself. Yeah. And if we're lucky, that's the only thing you're running that's Win32 other than, drivers and underlying stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. This is probably a hard computer science problem. I actually don't know what happened there, but the thing they came up with was untenable. And it was that situation, where not only did these people want the one app, but it just wasn't working right. They couldn't get it to be reliable.
And this is also what people talk about with their first experience with Windows on ARM. It's like, there's something not quite right here.
Yeah, and that thing is that it just works, and you're confused by that because Windows on ARM was a disaster until Snapdragon X. Like, it was a disaster.
Yeah. And that's just because the emulator was that good. The emulator was finally good enough,
and the hardware itself was powerful enough to run emulated x86 code, whatever you want to call it.
Fast enough that you didn't notice.
Right. So they figured it out, between them, Qualcomm and Microsoft. So it's great, but people still distrust it. And I sort of understand it. It's just that in my experience, like I run the lowest end, cheapest Snapdragon, anything you could buy. And it's wonderful. And I love it so much. I can't put it down. I meant to leave it in Mexico so I'd have a good ARM laptop there. And I couldn't bear not to have it. So I took it home. I've been using it this whole time I've been home. Like it's just that good. It's easily the best laptop I reviewed this year, and I paid for it myself. It's an OmniBook 5, so it's just the base. Well, it's 16-inch screen. There's no numeric keyboard, which I love.
I want something a little smaller.
Base Snapdragon X.
And you feel like, at least with Windows, Snapdragon is a first-class citizen at this point.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's been the big change over the last 2 years.
That's humongous. And so we'll see. Look, Intel and AMD are going to try to make their stuff better. And they are still better in some ways, right? Of course. But as far as I actually feel like x86,
especially from the legacy perspective. But
I think there's just, I don't think you get past this. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I could be proved wrong. That would be fine.
And this is where the switch will happen, is when you'll go, forget that app then. This machine is that much better. That I'd rather give up that app.
It's hard to do that. I mean, I get that. But look, a lot of the past year and a half has been about getting rid of those items. The reason you're not doing it, check mark, is this one app, right? Or this one driver or whatever. I mean, anyone who can't stand this stuff will always be able to pull out one thing. It's like, what was the thing someone brought up the other day? Autodesk is not certified for ARM.
No.
You're like, that's great. But anyway, for the rest of the 99% of the world who doesn't care about Autodesk, who cares?
Autodesk is a notoriously bad citizen of the Windows world.
Yeah.
Like, notoriously. They still don't do internet properly. They still don't do multi-platform licensing properly. They do everything so awful, but so many governments and so many companies are so bound to that product.
Right. So your life will be miserable because you have this product. So enjoy that experience and let the rest of us run free, because I just don't care anymore. Like
we'll send you get well cards.
yeah, exactly. Condolences. Oh, you're using x86. I'm so sorry. Did you sleep okay?
No.
So CES, if I could kind of summarize this from a PC perspective, it's actually pretty big deal. I mean, we have the major PC makers have all announced new products. Some of them are pretty interesting, actually.
The ones they didn't announce at IFA.
Yep. Well, there was one. So remember it was the rotating screen Lenovo prototype from IFA, where if you moved over here, the screen would actually rotate with it. So that's a product now. They're actually shipping that, right?
Wow,
so dopey.
Lenovo
who
has
needs that? But okay, I love Lenovo.
Lenovo has rollable screens in prototype.
They showed that last year. Oh, they go sideways too now. Huh?
Yeah, so they have a gaming PC, Legion gaming PC, where you get this 21:9, whatever the aspect ratio is when you're playing a game. It's awesome, right?
It's made to impress people at Starbucks, I think, is the real reason.
Well, I mean, yes, I mean, it will do that. And I'm sure the early adopters will do it for that reason. But honestly, any hybrid device, whether it's like a little folding phone that turns into kind of a mini tablet or a tablet that turns into a PC or whatever it is, like the goal here is you have one device that does two things and without compromise. And ideally, it's something you can carry around that's not as big as carrying around the bigger of those two things normally, right? And so like you're carrying around a 14-inch laptop, but what you have is essentially like a 17-inch screen. That's kind of cool. Like it's kind of, assuming it works and all that stuff. So it's kind of a cool idea. Like Leo said, that all the three major chip makers have released new or announced and are about to release new versions of their chips. On the Snapdragon side, they went... I'm sorry.
Including NVIDIA.
Including NVIDIA.
Yeah. NVIDIA is like NVIDIA is the is in a weird spot because they've been so successful. We all sort of vaguely understand this cannot last forever. So it's like, well, where's growth going to come from once this peters out? And it's not going to be PCs, but they're getting into a lot of stuff, right? You're starting to see these things that are not data center GPUs, for AI, right? They're starting to kind of branch out a little bit because they understand like this is not going to last forever. This is slightly different a little bit different from the way they did the first gen. But X2, when they announced it, they announced two sets of chips, the Elite and the Elite Extreme. The Elite Extreme is the one where the RAM is built literally into the chip die for faster access to RAM. And then at CES this past week, they announced the X2 Plus, which is for kind of mid-level PCs, or they're going to go down market as well, like they did in the first gen. But to me, I mean, this is kind of under the radar a little bit, but a couple of things. We're starting to see the first Copilot Plus PC desktops.
Wow.
And this is from all chips, right? So very specifically, either the chip maker or some PC maker who's using those chips is touting ... whatever it is. So in some cases, these are tower PCs. There are little mini PCs. There's a little thing that's looks like a USB dock from Lenovo that's actually a PC. There's an HP computer that is a keyboard. It has a computer inside of it, like a Commodore 64, which is like, okay, maybe. I mean, maybe. Because you could bring like a USB-C display, and that's your whole thing. Like, it's all there, I guess. I guess that's one way to do it. I don't know. I mean, I'm not 100% sure I see the use case there, but look, they're trying. The one thing that I do have is this is the HP OmniBook Ultra, the new one. So this one is like the thinnest what, Paul? Thinnest consumer laptop, I think is the way they're describing it. It comes in Snapdragon X2 and in the Intel Panther Lake versions. I have the Panther Lake version, which has 64 gigabytes of RAM. And I got to tell you, this is a laptop. It's just a laptop, right? This is not a gaming PC. It's super thin, This thing plays Call of Duty better than any computer I've ever used. Like, it's triple digit frame rates. It's running at 3K resolution. It is OLED and gorgeous, and it's nuts. And it's like you get HD and you see things you never saw. You get 4K, you see things you never saw. It's like that. Like, I've been playing this game for the last year or so, and I'm seeing like things in the game I've never seen. Like, it's amazing, and it's running faster and better than it ever has, even on the AMD stuff. So that's impressive. I mean, it's unreliable, right? but it's also, it was a prototype.
Doesn't it get hot and the fans get loud and all that?
No, actually, you can hear the fans.
Wow.
I mean, yes, but it's
That's
not. It doesn't. It doesn't get stupid hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It has to. I mean, it has to. It's but it's the PC stuff has gotten interesting again. Without being stupid. Like, it's not like, oh, look, it's like 3 screens. But there's some goofy things. But
How about that new material that LG announced for its Gram? What do they call that?
Yeah, it's a goofy name. Well, because LG has always had like the thinnest, craziest thin, like, and they would do like 13, 14, 15, 17 inch, and there's like stupid thin. I mean, they were kind of flexible. That was the issue there. But still no.
Aerominium.
It's like aerominium or something.
Aerominium.
Yeah, so it's probably
like it smells good, but I don't.
Yes, yes, right. It's a scratch and sniff. You open it up, it smells like flowers. I don't know, but it's but no, good for them.
Is it plastic? Is it metal? I don't know.
It's got to be a combination of materials. This is like everyone's doing this kind of thing. I think, is it this one or?
Because they do use the phrase metallic look.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. And everybody who touches it says it's really soft.
Right. Great. I mean, that's great. Like, what do we get? We're going to complain because there's plastic in it. It weighs like 2 pounds. Who cares?
Right. Plastic, Lenovo, though, is too good an insulator. So.
Yeah, but you have to have a metal. There's always going to be the metal frame and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, for heat.
Plastic is good for wireless signals. Just throwing that out there. There's also a lot of repairability stuff. So the past 3-4 years, HP, Lenovo, all the big guys talk endlessly about sustainability and recycled components and blah, blah, blah. But to me, the big thing is like you can pick one of these things up on screw 4 screws, replace the SSD. It's pretty straightforward. It's across the board. Replace the Wi-Fi card.
Yeah.
It's just, yep. So Lenovo is taking I've been wondering when someone was going to do this, basically do what Framework's doing and be like, all right, you can replace everything. It's easy. The USB ports, the video out ports are all in these little modules. You can just pop them out and pop in a new one, and you have not a new computer, but it's like a component, like a fully componentized thing. You're like, nice. Now this thing is hopefully it's not like 3 inches thick or whatever, but and I would also point out was driven by regulation and laws worldwide, but whatever. To repairs had its effect, and that's a big deal. Like this is big stuff. So there is some good stuff here, and I think this is going to be a really good year for PCs. Except for that IDC thing about RAM prices screwing everything up and all that. Although,
are we seeing that happen? Already
I know this is price conscious, like especially in the PC space, but IDC late in the year came out with a report. They were saying RAM prices, because of AI going up, it's going to be a big problem for PCs and smartphones. Like we're probably going to see slower growth or no growth this year because of this. The question is going to be like, well, what does that mean in the real world, right? So people who build PCs are freaking out, but there's 3 of those guys, so you don't have to worry about that too much. The big issue to me is that laptops, especially, I just talked about right to repair and everything. The one thing you don't see that much, although I think I saw it on one laptop all year, was upgradable / repairable. Well, I guess it'd be upgradable or replaceable RAM. Like RAM is usually soldered on, so it's not like a DIMM.
This Lenovo, because they used to be so great. You could take out the keyboard, you could take out everything. And
so pragmatically, part of it is
makes them heavy and complicated.
It makes them slower too. So
bigger.
The newer
slower
chipsets,
when the RAM is on a SODIMM instead of in the chip. Yeah.
Well, there's in the chip, in the die, literally, like Apple does, like with Apple Silicon, right? But then there's also just on the package, which is what Intel did with Lunar Lake and what AMD does with all of their stuff now. And so those really aren't a great upgradable. Like people are like, well, why couldn't you just add 2 DIMM slots? It's because that RAM would run at 50 to 60% speed. You just can't do that.
Right.
And that's a shame. Like that's something I feel like we should try to figure out as an industry. But
especially now that people want more RAM for AI. Now it used to be everybody's got enough RAM.
iPhones or whatever phones ship with like 16 gigs of RAM now. It's like it's amazing. Right. But the thing is, like that's going to be more expensive. So the thing I'm looking for, and I've only seen one example, is what's the real world impact on that on a customer? Like not someone building something, but you're buying a phone, you're buying a PC of whatever kind. Like, are we going to start seeing PCs with 8 gigabytes of RAM now again? Like, I don't think so, honestly.
You know who may do that though? Apple is rumored to be doing a low end.
Yes.
MacBook.
Okay. On that one, maybe.
And I bet you that has, maybe you'll have 16, but I bet you it has 8.
Yeah, but you know what? They'll charge nothing for the upgrade. I'm just kidding. They're terrible. But so what I'd like to see is like 16 gig is the minimum on any PC, and then you could go to 32 on your own. And maybe it's something you put off for now because it's a little expensive, and maybe it'll be better.
Can
wait
you
for a
put it
sale?
off?
No, you can't. You can't do it. The problem is you can't do it.
Got to buy what you need.
The only example I've seen of this is there was a rumor that Samsung I don't know if they said this outright or it was rumored they were going to have to raise prices on the next gen phones. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. So if you could, I don't know what the price of a S25 Ultra might have started at $1,299, but it's Samsung, so it's always really on sale for like $800 or whatever it is. Like, how much is that thing going to go up? Is it going to be $1,500? If so, like, yeah, they're going to have some problems selling these things, right? But the thing I saw was like they're going to raise the price by $50 per phone. I'm like, that's just a normal year-over-year upgrade. Like cost edition, whatever. So we'll see, but I don't know. It's a little wrench for sure.
But is it a monkey wrench?
Yeah.
It's an AI wrench.
Aren't they all?
I asked, this is apropos of nothing, but it's just in my brain. The last article I put up on my site is a picture of a girl with 3 presents in front of her in the front of the Christmas tree. There's a big present, the medium-sized present, there's a small present. So I asked Gemini to make this, nano banana, whatever it's called. So the picture's, it's great. So I'm like, this is perfect, except for one thing. I need a 16:9 image. Could you just redo this as 16:9? So it says, a little thinking, and it spit out exactly the same image at 4:3. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So like I said, this is a great image, but I just need it to be 16:9. And as it's doing it now, I'm thinking to myself, all right, I got to find software that will do this. Generative fill, I can figure this out. It spits out a third version of this. And now I'm like, no, screw this. I'm going to make this thing do it. So I'm like, okay, listen to me. And so I very detailed, I explained why and blah, blah, blah. And then it said, here's a picture of an astronaut floating in space. And I'm like, when did you turn into Siri? What is this? Like, what is, like, you just gave up on me? Like, what is, like, anyway, yeah. Hilarious.
Wait, that is a real insult. When did you turn into Siri?
I know, it's like a flowers for Algernon moment. What's going on here?
Yeah, so this happens a lot with the AIs lately. I've noticed is they internally get downgraded. Like I just a couple of weeks ago, I was really happy that my Google Home device could identify now the song that it was playing for me. In the past, it said, I don't know, and I asked it today, and it said, I don't know. So it's like, what happened? Did you get stupid again?
Well, you don't have to be mean about it. You're not smart enough to know if I'm being mean.
I did. I found myself scolding Gemini. I think
You're scolding software.
What happens is that if people start using it a lot, they dumb it down to save.
So we'll talk about a little bit of AI stuff at some point. But one of the big debates right now is about these kind of robots and whether they should be like human shaped or like just little purpose built things. I feel very strongly they should be little purpose built things. But like we already have these examples in my own little stupid world where like we have this robot vacuum cleaner thing. We don't have it can't go up the stairs or anything. It's stupid. It's this little thing.
See, if it were a human-sized thing, it could walk.
It plays, but we talk to it. Like we just talk to it. It plays little fun songs. It tells us stuff. Can't hear us. It doesn't listen to anything we're saying. It's just, the other thing we do is like you must do this. Like we drive up to Boston, so we go through like 5 states, and like we're just sitting there, we're talking, listening to music, doesn't matter. And then suddenly the map thing goes, "Welcome to Connecticut," and my wife and I simultaneously we were both like, "Thank you." Like I swear to God, like every time, like we can't stop doing it.
As a dad, reading the road signs is my job. Okay, I always used to announce, "Hey kids, we're in Connecticut."
Well, it's like this end of Spaceballs where they're doing the countdown. They skip the number. It's fun. They're all clutching each other because things going to blow up. And then she's like, 3, 2, 1, and 0. She's like, "Have a nice day." And they're all like, "Thank you." Like, and then they blow up. It's like you can't help it. Like it's bizarre. So we don't have to worry about humanoid robots. We're already treating these stupid little things like they're people.
I think the show floor is jammed with humanoid robots. And now Boston Dynamics announced that they have a deal is it Hyundai to start working those humanoid robots in Hyundai factories. So the reason being that the factories are designed for human form factors for bipedal.
Yeah, but once you take that out of it, I know. Okay, so you're upgrading or you're using it in an existing facility, but realistically, whether you're
best thing to do was what Amazon's done, which they have
a robot vacuum is not a human with a fake robot, with a vacuum. It's a little thing that glides around the floor.
Right.
Sure.
Why would do you want 100 little robots in your house, or one that can do the laundry, the dishes?
Oh, I desperately want 100 little robots. I want little robots everywhere.
Do you want a tuck me in robot?
We're all snuggling at night. They'll be purring.
So I asked She Who Must Be Obeyed. It's like, what would get you to tolerate a robot in the house? Because it ain't going to be a Roomba. That's not the one.
Yeah.
And she said, toilets.
Oh yeah,
If you can do a perfect toilet, then
those Japanese toilets are awfully close. I wouldn't call them robots.
Well, so the robot toilet
is built.
will just
clean you.
It will come to you. It will come to you in the living room, and then it will walk away in shame.
Me. Well, I'm hoping by the time that I need full-time in-home care that there will be something that could take care of me. I guess a human's all right, but a robot might be a little bit. I don't know.
Want that. It's going to be like, listen, we looked at your chances, and we're just going to pull the plug. You had a good run.
That's true.
That's
what the robot would do.
It's going to be like, your wife's not here. Sorry, buddy.
No, take these quick. Before she gets back.
Remember that time you kicked me on the way through the hall there? Yeah, I remember.
My biggest concern with humanoid robots is they look cute and cuddly. They look like they're humans, but it's like having a chimp in the house. You forget how strong they are, and they're made of metal. That thing could crack your skull. So if something goes wrong and it says, "Let me try this hat on,"
yeah, exactly.
And, I mean, they're dangerous, and so there's a very high level of care that has to be put into their code.
It's too much complexity designing something to work like a human body. Why would you ever do that? It's
your
ridiculous.
your nose looks like a doorknob.
It's like a self-driving car has a robot sitting in the seat taking up the spot, and there's a steering wheel that it moves. Like, why would you do that?
No, you're right. You're right. You got a good point. That's dumb. It's dumb.
It's weird. That. It's weird thinking. I don't know. Whatever.
Let's take a little break, and we'll come back. There's no CES Windows news. That's pretty much the CES story.
The related one is just Copilot plus PC on desktops. Finally.
Okay.
Which you mentioned. Yeah.
I do have. It's so funny. This Lenovo not only has a Windows key, it has a Copilot key.
Oh yeah, it's the best.
And there's really nothing I can do with it on Linux.
If you cord those keys together, it will just install Linux.
Actually, if I could figure out what the scan code is, I want to make it my button to press for
it's only a matter of time. There are no Copilot keyboard shortcuts, right? You can press it. You can long press it.
Non-standard key, is that why?
There's no Copilot key plus C, Copilot key plus Q. You know this.
See, that's what I want it to be, as a super key, or
it's coming.
Yeah. Claude Code has not figured that out yet. I've been asked. It does all my configuration now, which is amazing. I have it running all the time. And if I say, can you make that menu font bigger? Instead of me going into the configuration stuff, I just say, Claude, make the menu font bigger.
Experts say that you will never speak to your computer.
Oh, I do.
I know you do. And I
built
think we're all going to.
I built in dictation using Whisper.
Right.
So I press a button, it goes beep, I say it, and it goes to Claude Code, and Claude Code does it. It doesn't talk back to me. I don't want it to talk back to me.
The resistance to this would be ludicrous if it wasn't for the fact that when GUIs were happening, people were like, I'm never going to need a mouse. It's a toy. I can do everything I want to do from the command line.
Remember what Dvorak said about mice? And they're never going to catch on. Nobody wants
never going to catch on, yeah.
All right.
Why would you take your hand off the keyboard?
I am a command line guy, and so
I am too.
My Linux setup is very command line focused for that reason. I'm not going to do this. Well, I'm not going to do this today, but like one thing when I was doing the year-end story, I was looking through all the stuff, I was reminded that Microsoft came up with a text mode editor, which, by the way, works in Linux as well as Windows. And I think it's just called Edit, if I'm not mistaken. But I was like, I could use that. I could actually picture doing this. Like, it was Edlin. Remember Edlin? And Ed?
Ed was, I forget which one was better. One was just like
Edlin was an improvement on Ed.
Yeah, it was like an actual environment. Yeah, I think so. I forget, but those were the days.
Oh, man. And I still see many a page that says, okay, fire up Nano and and edit the config file. Our show this week brought to you by our great friends at ThreatLocker. We're going to be going, Steve Gibson and I will be going to their big Zero Trust World conference in March. I'll tell you more about that in a second. But let me tell you first about ThreatLocker. If you are paying any attention at all, in fact, even if you weren't a computer user, if you just ask anybody, they know ransomware is a nightmare. It's harming businesses everywhere, not just businesses, schools, infrastructure companies, everybody is threatened by this. Well, good news. ThreatLocker can stop ransomware cold before it gets started. Recent analysis from ThreatLocker shows how just a single, and there are dozens of these, but just a single ransomware operation, Qilin, In 2022, 45 incidences, which is bad enough. 45 incidents in 1 year, 4 a month. That's bad enough. 800 in 2025. It'll probably be double that again in 2026. ThreatLocker's zero trust. So, I don't even know why I need to tell you those numbers. It's bad. You need ThreatLocker. Their zero trust platform does something nothing else can do. It takes a proactive deny by default approach. This is what zero trust does. It's so incredible. It blocks every action unless it's explicitly authorized. And of course, malware is not authorized, so it can't do anything. Zero Trust ThreatLocker protects you from both known and unknown threats nobody's ever heard of before. ThreatLocker, they call it ring fencing. Their innovative ring fencing constrains tools and remote management utilities so that attackers can't use them. They can't weaponize them for lateral movement. They can't use them to encrypt your files or exfiltrate information. They cannot use them because you didn't say so. It's like Simon Says, did you say so? No, can't do it. That's the beauty of it. ThreatLocker works across every industry. They have the best US-based support. They're there for you 24/7. Works on Windows and Macs and enables comprehensive visibility and control. Let me tell you about some of the companies that use ThreatLocker. Companies that can't afford to be down for 1 minute. Emirates, the big Emirates Airlines, their flight catering is a global leader in food industry. They have 13,000 employees. This is just the catering arm. ThreatLocker gave full control of apps and endpoints to Emirates Flight Catering. They improved their compliance, and because if you can only do stuff that you have a log of everything that's happened, right? Who tried to do stuff, who didn't do stuff, who was able to do stuff. You have that all. That's part of the deal. They also delivered seamless security with strong IT support. The CISO of Emirates Flight Catering said this, quote, "The capabilities, the support, and the best part of ThreatLocker is how easily it integrates with almost any solution. Other tools take time to integrate, but with ThreatLocker, it's seamless. That's one of the key reasons we use it. It's incredibly helpful to me as a CISO." Just look at the list, and you'll find it on the website, of people, global enterprises, people who can't afford to be down for 1 minute that use ThreatLocker. JetBlue uses ThreatLocker. Heathrow Airport, remember they had some real problems a couple of years ago? They said, never again. They use ThreatLocker. The Indianapolis Colts, the Port of Vancouver. ThreatLocker consistently receives high honors and industry recognition. They're a G2 high performer and best support, again with the support for enterprise. That was summer 2025. PeerSpot ranked #1 in application control. GetApp, best functionality and features award 2025, and the list goes on. Visit ThreatLocker.com/twit. Get a free 30-day trial. Learn more about how ThreatLocker can help mitigate unknown threats and ensure compliance. That's ThreatLocker.com/twit. Now, let me tell you, they've got this big conference they do every year. It's coming up this spring in Orlando, Florida, Zero Trust World. And for a limited time, we've got a code for you. If you want to go, we'd love to see you. ZTW TWIT 26, all one word, all caps. ZTW, Zero Trust World, This Week in Tech, TWIT 26, to save $200 off registration for Zero Trust World 2026. And this is the full pass. You get access to all sessions. You get hands-on hacking labs. You get meals. And they are famous for their after party. Steve Gibson and I will be doing a presentation on day one at the very end of the day, and we're going to the party. So you can buttonhole Steve and ask him questions. He'll be mad if I said that, but you can. The most interactive, it's a great event every year. I'm really excited about going. It's the most interactive hands-on cybersecurity learning event of the year. March 4th through 6th. Put this down. Write it down. Tell your boss, I got to go to Zero Trust World. We'll be safer when I get back. March 4th through 6th, Orlando, Florida. And don't forget, when you register, use the code to save $200. ZTW TWIT 26. We love ThreatLocker. Very excited about doing this. And I hope we'll see you in Orlando in March. And meanwhile, go check it out. In fact, this is the time to start using ThreatLocker. So when you have questions or you want to get more information, you'll be ready for Zero Trust World. ThreatLocker.com/twit. Thank you, ThreatLocker, for your support. Now, let's see. Let's talk about Windows. What a thought.
Had to happen eventually.
Yeah.
Microsoft takes most of December off, so not surprisingly, there wasn't a lot of news in our little time off, but there was some interesting stuff. So there's a guy who works on the Azure team, Microsoft. What do you call it? What is he? Distinguished engineer, Galen Hunt. So he works for Mark Rosenovich, essentially, or at least .org. And he put a job posting up that was like, my goal is we're going to eliminate every line of C and C+ code from Microsoft by 2030. We're going to use AI and algorithms to do this. And he explains the process. We're looking for someone who knows Rust, to help us with this. So I wrote about this. And nowhere in this article did I write that Microsoft was going to rewrite Windows in Rust. But I have, you may recall, speculated in the past that like at some point AI is going to get to the point where Microsoft and other companies are going to be able to point it at some code base and say, refactor this in Rust, and the fantasy scenario I've always talked about is the NT kernel, right? You just, all right, we're going to do this over in Rust, and it's refactoring literally means it's just going to work like it did before, but all those memory errors or memory vulnerabilities potential are not going to be the case anymore, and we'll see what happens. But unfortunately, a lot of people misunderstood this, like, oh, Microsoft's rewriting Windows in Rust. It's like, so the guy had to come up and like, actually, I didn't say that. And neither did I when I wrote about it.
Wasn't he looking to hire somebody?
Yeah. I mean, look, Microsoft already has people writing Rust. It's not like they need a guy.
Yeah.
But they're hiring, they are hiring one, or maybe they've hired by now, someone to work on this. But obviously, Rust has been a big deal for the past couple of years, Windows especially, but Linux is adopting it, not quite as aggressively as Microsoft. Microsoft has rewritten all the Surface firmware in Rust and open sourced it so other PC makers can use it. Mark Rosenovich famously, like 2-3 years ago, maybe
he
longer.
said you have to justify not writing in Rust.
We're not doing this anymore. Yeah. Yep. No more C and C++.
That's actually great. I think that's really good news.
The latest talk that he gave that I've seen about this, it's possible he did something at Ignite that I didn't see, he was talking about all the places in Microsoft that use Rust, and it's all across the company. Like it's Office, Xbox, it's everywhere. And I guess when he made this little proclamation, he got a text message or email, whatever, with some Satya Nadella. He's like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yep." And he's like, "All right." So look, this is part of that. And it's not something that happens overnight. Right now it's a project. It's like, we're going to see where this takes us and whatever. But
and typically they're going after optimization problems and reliability problems, right?
Yes, that's right.
There was a big outcry about Microsoft abandoning C# because they were rewriting a bunch of the C# services in Rust. And it's like, actually, Microsoft is in the business of running a cloud infrastructure, and they want the cost as low
level
as
code is exactly. You need this is.
Well, you're going to run 200 billion of instances of this. Every cycle you save is real money.
One of the big projects right now in the Rust ecosystem is literally Rust without the garbage collection, right? Like, in other words, like part of the overhead of high level languages like C# or Java or whatever is that it does that stuff for you automatically. And it's like, well, what if we didn't do that? Like what if, and we'll see where that goes. But Rust solves a lot of problems, and there's all these happy kind of byproducts that come from using it. One of which is like, oh, actually, this code is smaller, it's more efficient, it's like less processor intensive, like it's more secure, right? I mean, so I feel like this is inevitable, and I don't want to jump too far ahead. Like I said, I did not write like they're going to do this, but I've been talking about this as a possibility. I talk about it in a very oversimplified way, but because look, I can't even get it to write a freaking text editor, but you point it at the kernel, and you like fix it, I love that. Like, I love like this, let's be clear here. This is going to happen, right? It's
what I like about the story here is that they're hiring a skilled Rust person to use these tools to help writing in Rust. Because if you don't have a skilled person, they can't assess what the tools generated.
Yeah, and I think bias is a strong word, but I think there's an inherent bias when people who are really knowledgeable about low level code in C# C++ or whatever it is, going to Rust will want to repeat some of the same code styles or whatever it might be. Whereas when you approach something in Rust, you actually might want to. I don't know enough about Rust, so I'm just kind of speaking very high level here, but you may want someone who thinks in Rust, to kind of make sure this is the right thing. Because it's not just like, okay, take this code block and rewrite it in Rust. It's not that simple, but I don't know. This is I'd like to see this.
Now, the distance between Rust and C++ is pretty small. They're both pretty low-level languages. It's just certain decisions that are made in Rust that are very helpful, in the way that it does type safety and
well, that's
memory
a big.
management.
That's the security difference, right?
Oh my God, it's amazing! It eliminates like 80% of the
buffer overflows.
Memory. Exactly. The most common security vulnerabilities all come out of the same thing, and it gets rid of that, and that's humongous.
The first half dozen versions of C# were written in C++. It wasn't until Roslyn that they actually were down. Yeah. And so, you suddenly had a whole bunch of C# developers inside of Microsoft, which did used to be C++ developers. Right. But one of the things I remember we did these shows on .NET Rocks, there were bugs in C#, the old version, that applications relied on.
Right. So you actually have to make sure they copy the bug, so to speak.
Yeah. Do we copy the bug or do we fix it and break your app? Like, that was the discussion. And I got to wonder, as you poke your way through Windows, like when you talk about what it was Galen hedging on, he was hedging on that we're going to find code we're going to rewrite, and it's going to work the way it was intended, and it's not going to work correctly.
I have a software engineer friend who was here over New Year's, and he was telling me a story exactly like this, which was basically that in they weren't going to Rust, but in he works in the financial industry, and they were refactoring this old code base, and they kept coming up with the same like 2 or 3 errors. And then they tried it against the original code base. They're like, oh wait, this does the same thing. This it literally brought over the bugs.
They duplicated the bugs. Yeah.
It's like, actually, we kind of need that.
Well, this is why I think it's a little trendy to say we're going to rewrite this in Rust, because really what you really want to do is have standard practices that keep people from making those memory mistakes and those type errors and all of that stuff. Right. And you can make bad mistakes in Rust too, I'm sure. You can still make insecure code in Rust. I don't think
you have to try a little harder, but
maybe. But you can do type safe C++. You just have to stop
type safe C++ is like, sounds like an oxymoron. It's like
it isn't.
What did you just say? It's like military intelligence, or
C++ lets you do other things that are not type safe because it lets you do stuff you can do in C. So you can do memory allocations and stuff, and that don't, and then write to a
There's no doubt that C#, C++. Sorry, these languages are all the same.
You can still do malloc and not. There's all sorts of issues, but it's somewhat of having standards of not making those mistakes. And maybe Microsoft's already tried that. I just don't know if changing the language fixes
That's an old Bill Gates line, right? If you write that, if they put that kind of bugs in it, I fire them. And I think it was Brian Valentine who responded, "I'm sorry, Bill, they're your customers."
That's the problem. I don't know. It's probably a good thing to refactor it. I'm not against that.
And I think that's what Galen was actually talking about.
I think that's what they're talking. Yeah, he's talking about code bases, right? He didn't say the NT kernel or anything like that. But then again, when you think, look, this is really for Azure. But Azure and Server and Windows Client share something, right? There's some core components there that have got to be, at least similar. So these benefits will trickle down, I'm sure. Yeah, we're already seeing there's Rust in Windows now. That's already a thing. But
sure.
Refactoring as much of the low-level kernel, let's call it kernel code for lack of a better term, of Windows is a great idea.
That's what Linux did last year.
It's an excellent idea.
They start moving the kernel to Rust.
Right.
So Rust maybe is a little better, although it bothers me because it's a little it's trendy. It would have been 8 10 years ago, and 10 years, what is it going to be?
Yeah, I think it's trendy because it was found to work. It wasn't it didn't occur 2 seconds ago. Rust has been around for 10 years plus. I think. Mozilla
at least
this, right?
Yeah.
It caught on recently. At some point, this world is so different from application development. It's a different place, but drivers would be the right place to do Rust in Windows and Linux in any system, right?
Although they're probably written in assembly, not C. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I actually don't. Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure it's a combination of C.
I guess
C++
you don't want to use assembly because you have multiple platforms now. It's a little hard to port stuff around. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a good trend. So it was misunderstood, but this is a big deal. I got semi-excited earlier when you said BitLocker, but I guess you said it by mistake. But so I was like, yay, BitLocker. Where's this story? I don't even have it on my link. So Microsoft discussed something called hardware accelerated BitLocker and then didn't tell anybody when they released it as part of Windows 11 25H2 and Windows Server 2025. And basically what they found is that with these faster NVMe-based SSDs, BitLocker was actually starting to have a meaningful performance impact on the system, meaning like 1% or something, like 1-2%, something like that. But they were like, all right, well, we could fix this. And apparently they have. And you actually, for this to work right now, I believe you have to have a generation of chipsets that is not yet shipped, I believe. I mean, it's possible some of the CPUs from last year or whatever will support this. But even on this Panther Lake system, for example, there's a command line you can run to see if it's enabled, and it is not on this particular computer. So that would be the only one I would have right now that could even do this. I guess there will be a way to enable it. There's obviously it's Microsoft, so they're going to let IT admins control it. You can turn it off, turn it on, whatever. But
there's certainly a movement towards all data encrypted at rest at all times to resist ransomware and extortion and the like.
Yeah. Yep. And now, so if there, it's possible, like this is a big thing with gamers, but in the IT space, it's possible if you're using older computers, you might be like, look, we don't want to use BitLocker because it slows down these things too much, which honestly I think is semi-made up, but maybe there is a perceptible difference. So this will solve that problem apparently. So that's kind of cool. And
2017, this was the original Rust book, which I bought when it first came out.
That's amazing.
This is 2017. So that's
hilarious. Okay.
And yeah,
what would
right
you
on
do?
the front, it says fast, safe systems development.
But what would you do with Rust in 2017? Like, what was the use case for this thing?
Well, they rewrote Firefox. That was the original
but what would you
use case.
like? But there's a book about it. So, like, what's the focus? Like,
I remember this was I don't remember if it was crowdsourced, and you would get it chapter by chapter. That's why I have the final version of it. People were really excited, and I think there's still a lot of excitement around Rust.
Too. Yeah.
The other thing is concurrency, and a lot of older languages, concurrency is kind of added on top of Rust. Is
so it's natively concurrent.
Natively concurrent.
Okay.
And that was a big change.
What do you do? Just like have two panes of code and they run side by side?
When did Intel decide, what, we're not going to be able to make single core go any faster than 5 gigahertz, so let's do multi-core.
I think it was literally the core processor. I think that was the reason for that name switch. Remember, the first one was a Core Solo, which we forget about, but then it became Core Duo. Right. And then Intel was the one that, I'm going to get this wrong, but I believe they went from dual core, lasted for a little while. And then we got to 8th gen core processors. They just added, we're going to go quad core.
So they were doing Itanium.
Yeah.
And they realized, oh crap.
Yeah.
They fortunately they have made Skunkworks in Israel.
A metal ton of nothing.
Yeah. And this Skunkworks had been working on this core thing, and that saved Intel. And I think that must have been around 2005 somewhere.
Yeah,
6.
maybe even right around that. That sounds about right. Early 2000s, definitely.
So then all of a sudden, every computer has multiprocessing.
Well, and AMD had done the x64 thing, which Intel was forced to adopt. That was one of the more embarrassing things.
People wanted to stick with x64.
Yep. Interesting.
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe I should read this. And
you could look at if you look at the any of the processors that were just announced, it's this crazy. It's like 21 cores and it's like this kind of core and these kinds of. It's insanity. Like it's not like it was. This thing used to be like a big block Chevy. You just hit the pedal and it goes faster. Makes a lot of noise. If you're going up a hill, the gas tank will go down as you're driving. And now it's like this crazy, I don't know what you call it, hybrid electric something. It's
I said earlier in the Discord, one of the great blessings in my life is that I don't have to ever write production code. So I can still live in a single processor.
Just screw around. Yeah.
It's memory
a 6502 is enough.
But if I were writing production code, I would need to be doing concurrency. I'd probably need to do type safety, memory safety, and all that stuff.
Hey, there's a different timeline where the Amiga wins and we have multi-processing in the 1990s,
Wow.
Multitasking
what
off
could have
floppies.
been?
And I know. Please don't get me started. It makes me want to cry.
But these next generation languages emerged for a multi-core.
That's right.
That's multiprocessing. You maybe go Rust. You might go Go because both of
Go is also
phenomenal. Yeah. And very set up for a cloud world. That's what it's about.
That's right.
Yep. Actually, that's
Platform
what
changes, the languages reflect.
Darren was saying that in the Discord, the ClubTwit Discord. He says, because I work with AWS, Go is the kind of native language for AWS for that. Yeah.
Languages like Java and C# came out of an era. Well, you're solving a problem. It's like, all right, what's the problem? Garbage collection, right? People are not doing this or not doing it correctly. We'll just do it for them. Now there's overhead. And it's like, it's okay. Well, we have infinite computing resources now. It's not like we're flying to go to the moon with like this stupid chip with like 4 feet or whatever. Like we have all the power in the world. But at some point, you have to be more, not at some point. Certain use cases like drivers and the kernel and all that stuff, you actually still need this low level stuff. And that's going to be assembly or C++ or whatever, So it's interesting. This is another one. Alternate timeline. I might have been a developer too, but.
Who was that guy who bought Commodore and killed it, basically? He was just awful.
Well, the reason Commodore died was Irving Gould, who was a horrible person. He got rid of Jack Tramiel.
Jack Tramiel was bad too, though. That's the guy I was thinking of.
Yeah. And then he was
Gould
the CEO.
was worse than Tramiel?
Oh, yeah.
Tramiel was the original. Yeah.
Irving Gould was the guy who killed it. And then they were bought by Gateway. People forget this.
Yeah.
They did nothing with it. Then
Who killed the Amiga? Was it Gould?
No, he didn't kill it. The Commodore just went out of business. He killed the business.
That'll kill it.
Yeah.
That'll kill it quick.
Commodore was a shell game at the end. It was like this Bahama-based, business that didn't really have to report to anybody on a regulatory basis. Like it was terrible. It's just a terrible company. Commodore was the worst thing that ever happened to the Amiga.
Well, and now a YouTuber's hauled the Commodore brand back, and they're building a new Commodore 64 with an SD card slot.
Right. So I'm interested in this Commodore 64 Ultimate thing, but I got to tell you, like an Amiga 500 right now, I could wrap my head around that. Like the Commodore 64, you're like maybe like Commodore, like an Amiga 500 or 1200, even better, whatever you want to call it. Would be super interesting, but we'll see.
It's a long time ago, man. Your memories are far better than reality. It's like Kentucky Fried Chicken. As a child, you thought it was amazing. Now you go get it, you're like, what was I thinking?
I still actually like Kentucky Fried Chicken, but you always remind me. Every time you say something about fast food, I always think of your Arby's slogan, which is like, it's almost meat.
We have the almost meats.
Which I always thought was so perfect. It's close. Anyway, sorry. So, all right. So since we last spoke, the last updates we got from the Insider program were on the 19th. I don't remember when our last show was, but it was probably 17th-ish, somewhere around there.
Around that.
So there were two things. Dev Beta, which for now, and this is going to change pretty soon, I bet, got a bunch of updates related to AI agents on the taskbar. So there's the underlying architecture for these things, which, Microsoft, I think, is doing the right thing in the, we can argue whether agents and AI belong in Windows, but if you're going to do this thing, make it a normal interface for users. We're not going to do a full screen start menu. We're going to make it look and work like apps and stuff. And so I think that's smart. And so there's like an agent launchers experience, which basically just gives you, jump lists and app icons and little notifications and things. And then they released their first agent, which is the researcher agent, which you trigger through Copilot. And when you send it off to do a task, you'll have an icon in your taskbar. You can click it. It will give you you can see the update, how it's doing. If it needs you, it will trigger a notification. Sounds kind of interesting. And then more broadly, there was a Copilot app update that added text editing actions to Copilot Vision. So Copilot Vision is that thing where you interact with the screen, but originally it was voice only, right? So it's. I feel like this Vision capability is maybe, well, more useful is a strong term, but will more typically be used on a phone because you're out in the world, right? You can hold up your camera and be like, "What is that thing?" Mm-hmm. But you could use it for anything, and so in Windows, you have a web page up, it has graphics and text. You can focus on different things and learn more about it, et cetera, et cetera. So this basically adds text editing capabilities anywhere you have text, right? And so that means that could be in a field in a web browser, which is probably going to be the big use case. But for me, I use a Markdown editor, which has basic spell checking, but not any, I don't need this, but like rewrite this, make it shorter, longer, whatever you might want. it adds it to that. So this actually just works with everything. And this is, when people question why Microsoft would add AI to Windows, I will point to things like this, because you're using whatever apps you use. Richard uses some set of apps. I might use some different set of apps. Someone else uses yet another set. But these capabilities work across whatever apps are in Windows. Like Windows is the platform. It's where you want this thing. You don't want to add these features individually to each app, although we're seeing that as well. You add it to the system, and then all apps benefit. That's the point of the platform, right? And so, interesting. It's interesting. Or it's interesting to me. Maybe it might not be interesting to everybody, but I think it's interesting. And then I guess I already mentioned this. Maybe I thought this wasn't going to be in the notes. I can't remember, but IDC, like I said, late in the year came out with a report. Every year they do a set of predictions about the various industries for the coming year. That happens in November. They did their forecast for PC and smartphone sales, and probably for tablets and whatever other devices they cover. But they had to revise it in late December because of this RAM crisis, right, caused by AI. Their incredible needs. And, this is like one of those basic supply issues. It's like we only have a finite amount of the stuff that companies are making. There's only a finite number of those companies making this stuff. And typically what has driven memory, like meaning RAM sales, has been the sale of devices like PCs and phones that have RAM in them. But they are no longer driving this. It's AI data center use. And when NVIDIA or Microsoft or Google or whatever goes to Micron or Crucial or whatever these companies are and says, we need all the RAM you can make. And they're like, oh, but we're giving it to PC makers or whatever. It's like, that's cute. We'll pay double. Oh, yeah, you can have all the RAM. And, and that's kind of what's happening, right?
Micron shut down the consumer division.
We're done. Yeah. Yep.
Well, the other thing is that these are all pre-orders. Like, you don't even know how many of these machines they're actually going to take.
I know,
right? Like, it's almost the way it was described to me by one of the folks in the space was, it's like you've opened up 10 windows to get Taylor Swift tickets. You only want one pair of tickets, but you're opening as many as you can, and they're ordering anywhere they can from everything they can, so they get some.
I'm going to call this wimpy accounting, and I don't mean wimpy like you're a wimp. I mean you're like, maybe I have the name wrong. Is that character from Popeye?
Yeah, wimpy. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday.
For a hamburger today. That's what this is. You're like, listen, I'm going to buy the hell out of this RAM eventually, but I need you to give it all of it to me now. And like, okay, and we'll see how that goes. It's not like the economy's riding or anything, so we'll be fine. You guys aren't retiring.
But we might have a dark year in PC sales.
Yeah, right. We might, but this is why I said earlier, I'm looking for real world impact of this, right? So Apple as a company has always overcharged for RAM upgrades. So you buy like an iPhone and it's $1,000, and you're like, well, actually you can't get RAM on an iPhone. That's a bad example. You buy a Mac for
on a Mac, $1,000. On a Mac,
and you want RAM, and they're like, all right, so you want to go from 16 to 32? That's $200. You're like, what? And actually, $200 today is pretty good pricing for that RAM.
So they have some headroom,
right? But they're probably going to start charging $300 for that thing. And I guess the question is what those amounts are, right? And so if you're HP, like Lenovo's going to be in good shape, Apple's in good shape because they have such
control their own supply chain.
It's just in Lenovo's case, just sheer size, right? So smaller companies, we'll see. But, if you go to buy a Lenovo laptop, I'm just going to make something up, and it comes with 16 gigs RAM, and 32 gigs is today might be $50 or $100 or something, and now it's $200, $250. Does that mean that people are buying fewer computers or less capable computers? I guess we're going to find out. But I feel like people buy these things so infrequently. I'm not sure they have their thumb on the pulse of this. You know what I mean? They might just look at it and be like, I guess this is what it costs. I don't know.
I mean, from an IT perspective, you're way more sensitive when you're buying blocks of machines.
Yes.
And if it goes this way, what you will do is buy extended warranties.
Yeah, and maybe lowball it. As long as it's 16 plus, I think you'll be okay. But those guys hopefully are benefiting. I'm sure are benefiting from some kind of volume discount, especially if they're doing a fleet of laptops or whatever it is they're buying. But
there's another side to this, which is what you're not seeing is anybody building new memory factories,
right?
Because they also see this as a bubble too.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you're going to spend years putting this thing together. You're like, we did it. Yay. It's like, oh, we don't RAM anymore. We moved on to the next thing. You're like, oh, God. Like you could picture that happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, and as those orders disappear, because you didn't actually, open 10 windows and only needed one.
Right.
things are going to change. And so I think a lot of these companies are also thinking the other way, which is I don't want to be got holding the bag with a whole lot of RAM I can't sell.
Right. So this is fanciful. I'm joking in a way, but as things like this do collapse, we might enter a golden age of RAM and GPUs in the near future, where it's like, oh, you were looking to upgrade the GPU on your gaming laptop? Well, congratulations. You can get it in a box of cereal now for nothing, because we suddenly have a ton of these things. We'll see. I don't know. I don't expect it to be quite like that, but we'll see. Maybe they'll dump them in a landfill in Arizona or New Mexico or whatever happened to those Atari cartridges. We'll see.
Albuquerque. Steve did a whole thing on the BitLocker hardware acceleration.
Oh, he did.
It makes a big difference yesterday.
So did he say? Do you remember did he say anything about the hardware requirements? Like as far as was able to get it?
It requires the Intel processor they announced yesterday.
Okay, so I guess
you're not going to see it.
Yeah,
You're not going to see it.
So I do have that processor in one laptop.
Do you?
Yeah, but I can't. It's not enabled. So I guess maybe I'll look it up and see if I can enable it.
Here's the from Steve's show notes. Here's the this was at the Microsoft blog. To check if your device is using hardware accelerated BitLocker, at the command prompt as an administrator, run manage-BDE BitLocker disk encryption.
Right.
Manage-BDE space dash status, and then you can see if it's hardware accelerated or not.
Yeah. So I tried mine, and it does not. It's not.
Yeah, he said that. As of now, no one's got it, but that will make a big difference. But it's baked into the system. So as these things go out starting in late January, February, I can't remember, they'll probably be pretty common. And a huge difference. I mean, this is I'm sure you saw this. This was, I think, from the Microsoft blog post. But the graph, the yellow thing, is software BitLocker. So
the question I have here is, a lot of computers or individuals are going to go with home, right? And today, there's small things you could point to for like an enthusiast or a gamer, even like DirectX 12 Ultimate or whatever it's called is only in Pro. But BitLocker is a Pro feature. Right. So I'm assuming this requires Pro because it requires BitLocker.
So that's what I was asking Steve, because they do now.
Full disk encryption. No, I know, but it's not.
But it's not BitLocker.
What is BitLocker, right? So BitLocker is obviously full disk encryption. It's full partition encryption, whatever you want to call it. But it's to me, it's the management interfaces, and it's the UI, which is a control panel still, by the way, or these command lines. Could you use these command lines against full disk encryption on home? I'm guessing no, but I don't actually know.
See, I'm thinking it's the encryption's the same. It's still the same AES encryption.
100%. Yeah.
And the hardware support is not for BitLocker, it's for AES encryption.
Right.
So, that would be a decision Microsoft could make one way or the other.
No, I'm not. It's just not. Right. What I'm saying is Microsoft's answer may be you need to upgrade to Pro. And then you pay whatever you pay for that.
And it makes, on an SSD, it didn't make any difference when it was all spinning drives because they were so slow, but SSDs are so fast now, it makes a huge difference in disk speeds. Yep. You're not getting anywhere near the full throughput of your SSD. You're
actually getting slower speed right now with BitLocker than if you didn't encrypt it.
Oh, by far. By like 4 or 5 times. And now because I always turn on full disk encryption on all systems. It's on by default on Macs. Yep. I turn it on Linux. And
so what do the use get? Like if you were using a computer only to play games, you could be like, all right, I don't care about this maybe. That's about it. But even then, I'd be like, no, you got to have encryption. Like, I don't understand.
Especially because SSDs leak clear text. You can't be sure, even if you overwrite it, that you're going to lose, that you're going to erase everything. Mm-hmm. So I always turn it on. It's on all phones. There's good reason.
It's on automatically in Windows if you sign in with a Microsoft account or a work at school account. So.
That's right. Even on home, it's on automatically. So
that's right. Yep.
You're getting some real performance hit.
Yep.
Yeah. You just got to make sure you keep track of your recovery key, or you could have a really, really bad day where you lose your drive.
Right.
That would be bad.
No, that's true. If you're living life correctly, by which I mean you never store anything just on that one computer, it's synced into the cloud. You don't. Who cares? Yeah. Like if you But
that was
but that's
Steve's
not how most
recommendation. By the way, was don't use it unless you absolutely know you need it, because it's going to hit you hard. But see, I've always turned it on.
No, I know you got to leave that on.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't put the encryptor right on the M2, you know?
Yeah, you know, that's a
maybe
good point. And there are drives, Steve mentioned this, there are drives that have hardware encryption built in, and they're very expensive.
That's right. That might be why. The component might be very expensive.
Yeah.
So you do it in software.
Well,
unless
just
you have
because
support in the CPU, and then it might be.
We're making CPUs now that are so fast that they can, they can do this on the side.
What we need is AI that can predict what the next cycle is going to be. Never mind. Yes.
Let's take a break, and then we will go on. How about that? I think you're at the end of that section. Are you?
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to preempt your exciting conversations.
Okay.
But I do want to tell people about our fine sponsor, especially since this sponsor is the company that makes it possible for you to download your podcasts without any hiccups, without any pauses. This episode of Windows Weekly, as always, and you heard me say it many times, brought to you by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com/twit. For over 20 years, CashFly, they are our CDN, our content delivery network. And they've been doing it longer than we have. CashFly's been delivering high-performance, ultra-reliable content to more than 5,000 companies in nearly 100 countries. And we've been using them practically since day one. They saved our life. Without CashFly, I don't know where we'd be. We've been trusting them for almost 20 years now. Lag-free video, hyper-fast downloads, seamless site interactions. Now, I would say it's non-negotiable for you because you're tech savvy, but truth is, somebody goes to your website and it doesn't load for 2 seconds, they're gone. If the video doesn't start right away, they say, I got something else to do. So it's important for everybody. CashFly delivers real performance and real results. Events stream smoothly with less than 1 second latency to millions of concurrent users worldwide. Less than 1 second. Online games start 70% faster and play without lag. Software releases download flawlessly. No failed patches or updates. That's important, right? HD video plays on demand with sub-second start times on every device. Podcasts reach global audiences at record speed at any scale. We deliver petabytes of data through CashFly every month with nary a hiccup. And by the way, this is the really great stat, 100% availability over the last 12 months. 100% availability. CashFly is the fastest, up to 158% faster than other major CDNs. And when you store your content on the CashFly cloud, as we do, it's 100% cache hit ratio. You never have a cache miss, and that makes a big difference too. CashFly is shielding your site content in its cloud for instant access if you want. We turned it on back. I think we must have been the first customers. We love it. Build your own contract with CashFly. This is a big deal for us too, because maybe you don't know when your peak times are, what your total amount will be, and all of that. You get flexible billing that suits your business needs. And if you know exactly what you need and what you want, after a while, or even right away, you can pay ahead for fixed. You get fixed term rates that are even lower. Learn how you can get your first month free right now. Cashfly.com/twit. I am happy to say it, proud to say it, thrilled to say it. Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com/twit. We love you, CashFly. Thank you. Thank you for the great stuff you do for us. Let's talk Alberta no, that's not what AI stands for. Action Intelligence. What does it stand? AI. Let's talk about it.
Can't spell hallucination without AI, am I right?
That's true. That's true.
I do that for everything, even if it doesn't. Even if AI isn't in the word, I try to say that.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, minimal AI news this week. You're welcome. ChatGPT has an app store now. Hilarious.
They just announced a health ChatGPT. This just minutes ago.
Just the best.
So it's going to be trained, I guess, on healthy stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So I haven't found a use for this yet. I did read an article. Someone used it to move a playlist over from one service to another, but of course, it only supports Apple Music and Spotify, and there's already easy ways to transfer between those two. But basically, you take screenshots of your playlist on your phone or whatever, and then you put them into open ChatGPT and say, make this playlist.
That's kind of cool. That's
actually
cool.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I did waste a lot of time over the holidays duplicating a playlist across 3 services, and that was a freaking nightmare. So yeah, there's a good use for AI, I guess. So there's that. I feel like the last time we talked, Mozilla had just hired a new CEO who was the guy who would run Firefox before that. And then just before that, if memory serves, they were talking about having a special browsing mode similar to incognito or whatever we call it in Firefox for AI. And then this guy, the new guy, said, look, this is the world. We're going to be doing AI. Don't worry. It's Firefox. If you don't like it, you don't have to turn it. It's going to be opt-in, blah, blah, blah. But now they're using the language kill switch for AI, which, okay. I kind of like the DuckDuckGo thing, where it's a little fire thing, and it literally it just blows up. That kind of thing that's pretty good. And then I think it was right before Christmas or mid-December, LG smart TV users woke up one day and found like a Copilot app in their little list of smart TV apps, and you could not remove it. And in this little world of people have these things that cause a little bit of a minor freak out. But LG said soon thereafter that do not worry. We're going to let you take that thing off your TV. So
such a bad mistake. I think that was late November that they did that.
I don't remember, but
and it took them a month of people just screaming.
Oh, and they still haven't done it, by the way. It still has not been implemented. This is, it takes a while to get. They're probably writing it in Rust or something.
Thinking?
I don't know.
Because it needs to be performant because everybody's going to run it. I have a friend who had that experience, and he hard reset the TV, disconnected it from the internet, so you're back to the original version.
Yeah, you don't get the app update, and then
and never did an update again.
Not a bad strategy for a smart TV, by the way. You might get a little banner thing every once in a while. Hey, you're not connected to your Samsung account or whatever account. Thank you. I know
TVs, but try and get one that's not.
I know. Yeah. I can't stand it. Am I the only person on earth that wants a dumb TV? I just want a panel. What is this?
No.
Yes. I've been saying that for years.
Yeah, but I like having my Plex player and my Netflix and stuff integrated into the TV. I just had to set up the Pi hole correctly so it can't call home.
That's one way to do it. Sure.
Yeah, that would do it too.
Yeah.
So Home Theater Geeks episode 435, Finding a Non-Smart TV.
And it says, this page intentionally left blank.
404.
Yeah. This is no way. Sorry.
If you knock it out of the internet entirely, you don't get to use the features. You just have to knock it from calling home. And I'm not saying that's easy. Depends on the device. But there are people who work hard to make that possible for you, and you should use their scripts, configure your Pi hole, and send that guy $5.
Exactly.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I could do it probably too with NextDNS, which is what I use as my Pi hole guy.
Yeah.
I just want to know the server names that it's calling home.
So So I only use it on devices. I've never taken that step of putting it on the router or the internet, whatever you want to call it, the router, I guess. Do you do that? Do you use NextDNS at that level?
For everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
No. I have a pair Raspberry Pis mounted on the wall beside the router. There are the DNS servers. They're synced to each other, and they have a nice list of what to block.
You should configure them to make a funny sound every time they block something terrible. Like they'd be screaming continuously.
If you go look at your Pi hole stats, you are horrified.
So there's nothing on Ubiquity that will do what the Pi hole does?
Yeah, Ubiquity do it now too. I was thinking about
you don't have Ubiquity at home?
Ubiquity. I do, but I haven't switched to it. But Ubiquity only just got it. I've had Pi holes for years.
Right. Yeah, that's what I thought, that Ubiquity had some capability to do that.
They have it now.
Yeah.
And now I have to migrate that. I curated the snot out of that list. I got to migrate that list of Ubiquity.
That's right. Yeah.
Maybe you could use AI to take a picture of it, and then you get the idea.
Just trying to keep the equipment I pay for under my control,
Yeah.
That's
Fair
the
enough.
thing that gets me. Yeah. Trying. I'm only trying.
Would you still have gotten the Copilot thing, or would it would have blocked it?
Yeah.
But and as a result, you don't get any updates either.
No. Yeah.
Which is fine.
Well, it depends. Sometimes
depends on what it is, but for the most part, it is. If you're not using, you're actually using some of the apps, I guess. But if you weren't, who cares? Don't need
I
that.
don't use any of the apps on the smart TVs because the CPU is not powerful enough to do a good job. I just have Apple TV on every TV.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to tell you, just recently, my eldest daughter pinged me and said, "You know that Pi hole thing you got? Can I have one?"
Good for her.
Yes.
So what made her
raised
say
them
what,
well.
What was
The TV
incident?
The TV. The ads on the TV. Yeah,
So your daughter may not think in these terms, but her TV has been certified, and then she's
That's
like,
right. That's right.
How do I
must be a
fight back?
solution. Yeah, how do I fix this? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he said, "I've got ad block on my browsers. How do I get that from my TV?" It's like, you need
Good
a Pi
for
hole.
her.
Where do I get a Pi hole from? You should ask your father. Father, if I made
Father?
meatloaf.
You know,
Lava. Maybe that's why they banned Raspberry Pis at the New York City mayoral inauguration.
That's it. Yeah, it's all the ad blocking.
They don't want you to block the ads.
that's incredible.
We couldn't figure that out. We kind of understood flipper zeros, but Raspberry Pis, really? In your pocket?
Yeah. Well, Pineapple too, right? Like you run Pineapple.
They
on-
didn't ban
you-
that,
you-
though. Right.
Yeah.
They probably didn't know what
interesting.
it was. They're like, this is actually a more powerful version of a Raspberry Pi. But
They actually
it's
don't know what a Raspberry
It's
Pi
not
is
on the
either.
list. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Oh well.
Okay. I think, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, you've been patient. You've sat through Windows and AI and CES.
You've suffered.
We know why you come here. And yes, maybe it's for the liquor segment later. But most of you, I think, you're here for one thing and one thing only. And here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, the Xbox segment. Mr. Paul Thurrott.
Oop, Halo noises.
Oh, except it's in reverse.
Is that backwards Halo?
Yeah.
That's backwards.
You could tell from right there. Because that first part sounded like, okay, maybe that's it.
Well, that
Play
way
in
we don't
reverse.
get pinged by
Yeah, it just says
content ID.
Paul is dead, and then everything's fine. All right, so yeah, I've been trying to branch out from Call of Duty in my own little thing, but that's
Look
not
at you.
going great. It's not going good. Although Battlefield 6 on this Panther Lake thing, it runs at like 120
Oh,
frames
yeah.
a second. It's freaking crazy.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, it's not bad. So, well, other than when it turns on, then it's terrible. But when it's running, it's pretty good. So it's January, new month. So we have the first batch of Game Pass games across various platforms. The two notable titles in there, as far as I'm concerned, are Resident Evil Village, as I call it, and Star Wars Outlaws. Resident Evil is one of the game series I'm trying to play. That, and I got Silent Hill F.
Silent Hill. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Resident Evil's a huge set. Like, you
Yeah.
went and played them all.
I have not played them all thoroughly, but I finished Biohazard and I got part of the way through Village, as I will continue calling it.
Okay.
Even though it does not take place in France.
And you're not talking Bioshock, you mean Biohazard.
You're right. Right. Exactly. What did I say? Biohazard. Did I say Bioshock? I'm sorry. Biohazard.
No, you said Biohazard, and I thought Bioshock.
Oh, you thought Bioshock. Right.
Yeah.
Bioshock, the original one, I actually finished that one at least twice. That was a really good game. It's still, the
It's a good
opening
game.
sequence where you go down into the ocean is still astonishing.
Really.
And if you thought Copilot on your LG Smart TV was bad, you can also get Xbox Cloud Gaming on Hisense and the latest Fire TV Smart TVs, which actually isn't horrible, honestly. That's fine. This news is kind of cool. So if you're familiar with GOG, which used to be Good Old Gamers, or Good Old Games, I guess.
Good old games.
Yeah, GOG.com. I guess I didn't fully understand this, but they were owned by CD Projekt, the guys that made... I'm freaking losing my brain here. Cyberpunk, is that the name? The one with Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, it was Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk, yeah. So they there's a guy who co-founded GOG, who co-founded whatever it's called, Project CD, whatever the heck the name of the stupid company is. And he bought GOG from his employer and for like $25 million, CD Projekt, excuse me. I think it's Polish company, but and he's going to keep it independent. And the point of this service now, obviously, it's an alternative to Steam and Epic Games and all that, but their games are mostly DRM free, and they push this kind of game preservation angle, which I really like. And they're going to keep the company independent, and they're dedicated to this DRM-free thing, and I think that's great. So when you have a choice, you can buy games if it's different services. Check.
And a good prices too.
Yeah,
if it's on GOG, it's a bargain. There's no reason not to pay for it. Like, come on.
If you wanted to buy the original Doom or Doom 2 right now, I bet it's like $5 or less. It's probably less than
$1.50.
Yeah, nothing. So that's cool. I think that's really great. You ever just make yourself laugh, right? You ever just catch yourself saying something or doing something where you're like, I cannot believe I just did that. And I thought so much of this. I wrote an article about this, but I was playing. Well, let me go back in time first. So in the mid 1990s, Doom came out. Doom had multiplayer, but it was only on like the old Novell network style, Novell NetWare style networks, like IPX, SPX. Remember, right? No one had this in their house, right? So I happened to work at a computer lab where we could play this on the computers in the school in off hours, and we would do this like 4-person deathmatch. And then one day, one of the guys was like, "Hey, I just installed projectors in the classrooms, and they have intercoms, and we could all play. We played Doom on like all on our own giant screen, like on the wall, and it was freaking awesome." But so it's a big part, So and then we do things like there were services you could do this online, like Dwango. What do you call it? Duke Nukem 3D came out. Yeah, and, same thing, and then eventually Quake and Quake World and all this stuff. So I had
Trip mine and pipe bombs, man, my favorite. Boom.
Exactly. So that's exactly where I'm going with this. So that was the same thing. So there was an add-on for Quake World called Runes. And it was these little things you could pick up and then leave them around the map. And, so I would put them on a teleport pad. So when someone teleported in, they would blow up immediately, and you could hear it go, and it'd be this awesome sound. It was hilarious. So my friend and I would run around dressed up like clowns in the game, talking to everyone else, saying, everyone loves a clown, and making everyone insane. And then, but because of Duke Nukem and all of the kind of imitations they did, like, Schwarzenegger, whatever movies, like every time someone would
kick ass and chew bubble gum, but I'm all out of gum.
But the one I would always repeat was, have a blast. And like, basically it would be like someone would step on one of these bombs and I would blow up and I'd be like, have a blast. And they would be like, would you shut up? Would you just shut up? So I carry this
like that
forward.
Bits of them were stuck to the wall where on the other side where I put the bomb. So I'm here to look at your gore.
Him and I were playing one game, running around. It was the original Quake World. It doesn't matter. But I was following, and we were on I had the phone like crooked in my arm.
To kick ass and chew bubble gum. And
I was doing that thing like in Star Wars where they're going down the trench. He's like, stay on target, and like I'm following him, and I'm like throwing rocket launching like rockets at him, just missing him as he goes around the corner, and I'm like behind him, and I'm like, stay on target. And he's like, shut up. Anyway, so
hell yeah.
The modern era Halo happens, all the Call of Duties. Call of Duty has always had some version of this. It could be like a Claymore. It could be a little bouncing Betty in the World War II game. It doesn't matter. There's always a version of this. And I think of this as like the passive income of online multiplayer. It's like you put a little bomb down, someone blows up, you're like, you get a little, just
everybody's happy.
Right. So the other day, or over Christmas break, I was playing, and some guy, I could hear him, right? So I knew he was behind me coming around the corner. So I got up and ran around the corner. I dropped one of these things on the ground, and then I took a step around the corner, and I literally said out loud, and I was laughing so hard I was crying. I was like, have a blast. And just as I said it, he goes, boom, and you could hear him go, and I was like, it was so perfect. I am 59 years old. I'm mental. Like I literally had, I think I got killed 8 times in a row. I was laughing so hard. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I have to write about this. I was like, this is the stupidest story, but I was like, it just made me laugh so hard. That was beautiful. That's why I do it.
That's not the one. This is not the one.
Have a brain blast.
That's not the one.
No, but it was always like, like stick around, or whatever, like, whatever.
Hasta la vista.
I just thought that was beautiful. And then we'll see what happens.
I told you I'd kill you last.
Yeah, right. Have I thanked you yet? No, I will.
Style.
These were really kind of, I'm looking at them, they were kind of rude, some of them.
Oh, yeah, no, a lot of them are.
There's a lot of them you cannot play on the show. Without that. I can think of several.
Wow.
But the one that's stuck in my brain is just have a blast. Because I think literally I've spent 30 years playing these games, and I still say it out loud to nobody. I'm in the room by myself. No one. Well, the guy here actually heard me. I was on the microphone, but
See you
like
in hell.
yeah, just
I'm giving you some more in case you need it for next time.
it was fun. Anyway, and then finally, we'll see what happens with the Steam. What's it called? The Steam box or whatever it's called. What's the
Steam machine?
Yeah.
Steam machine.
I like GameCube better, but yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll see what happens
GameCube.
there. I think last time we talked about this, we were or there was rumor that Half-Life 3 would actually be coming as a launch title for that, which would be amazing. And then just before Christmas, Valve quietly stopped selling the LCD version of the Steam Deck. So that's it's notable for a couple of reasons. One, it means now the entry level price for these things is like $550. That was a $400 version. Although I would argue, I mean, you're going to need more storage than that thing had anyway. Whatever, it's kind of a small screen, etc. But this is overdue for an upgrade. So I'm kind of curious what they do with this. But the old entry level version is now gone, so they're going to be more expensive. But it's okay. Like, it's understandable.
But it's also a talking point towards something new is coming. Like they're clearly. It's interesting when billionaires with plenty of time on their hands decide, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change the game, right? And that's clearly what Gabe is up to.
He is such a weird. There was a last May or July or something. There was an interview with him on YouTube. Some young YouTuber kid. He could barely speak. Yeah, I don't know why he has a YouTube channel, but he asked him for an interview, and Gabe said yes. And he got it from his yacht out in the ocean somewhere.
Oh Lord!
It's worth watching just because you don't see a lot of this guy, and
very rare.
Yeah, he's kind of fascinating. But it made me kind of look him up, and there's no like really good history of Valve or Gabe Newell other than the stuff they've done around their commemorative sets for like Half-Life 1 or 2 or whatever. And I bought a book last year that was self-published that was terrible too. But like, this is a guy who, despite being a billionaire and can do whatever, literally works in a bathrobe on a yacht, has somehow managed to keep his life fairly secret, fairly secret.
No,
I mean,
I consider him a proper billionaire. Is like, shut up. Get out. Don't go stand out in public. Are you crazy? You've got you can do whatever you want. The last thing you need is public attention.
I know. And he really, he doesn't seem to care. So good for him,
and this play on changing the video game market is interesting, right?
Right.
To get it out of Sony and Microsoft's hands. Say, why don't we just make a machine and we won't make games?
This guy left. He was at Microsoft, right? Remember, and left 30 years ago-ish, and to start Valve with a couple of the guys. But like, it's just it's just really.
And he runs this super flat org. I have some friends that are in there, and it's like Gabe's on every call.
You do it,
right?
Do what you want to
really
do.
Cool, actually.
And you vote. And you vote with your feet. Where do you want to work on?
Yeah,
right? Like that's the reality. It
is cool, but as a gamer who loved Half-Life, it still does. I wish they had just kind of completed that loop, even just doing like episode 3 would have been enough. Like, it's weird to me that never happened, but
no, there's a bunch of reasons, but it's fine.
I know.
It is what it is. The downside of that is the bottom line is massive multiplayer games were worth a lot more money. And so the team that worked on that instead of working on the next one, which they weren't sure what they were going to do, right? Like, again, that vote with your feet model, they had an idea, but they didn't have a game yet. And eventually the team goes off and works on other things.
Right.
Anyway,
it still bugs me.
I sure hope there is a new game. I would really like, to wake up and smell the ashes.
I know. I cannot wait.
Well, we can have a special show just for that moment.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just call it Wake Up and Smell the Ashes. Like that. Yeah. That would be.
Yeah. That'd be kind of fun. You know what?
I don't need to own a console, but if this comes true,
I would just buy it just to play this.
I buy the Steam machine.
It's the only thing I'm going to do for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the only thing I'll do with it.
100%. I would do that right now. They're like, the only way you can play this game for the next month, 6 months, whatever, be like, yep, I'll buy one right now.
Yep. Man, I don't care.
It's going to be hard to get if that's the case.
I know. That's going to be. I know.
No. I'll be tapping upsetting. Every insider content I got. I want one of their first release.
People. Yeah.
You're damn right. I'm going to make that call.
Yeah.
I feel like He's the game developer that was the prototype in Daniel Suarez's head when he wrote Demon. Remember, because his whole plot is this kind of crazy game developer guy.
It's got to be.
It was Gabe.
Yep.
It was. That's who he was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the reality is, if Gabe Newell went off the rails, what the hell would you do about it?
Right.
We wouldn't even know for like 9 months,
No, and then it'd be probably too late. And then it's literally a plot of a novel or any number of movies.
Yeah. And Ready Player One kind of same thing, right? It was this
that's right.
crazed metaverse guy.
Yeah, it's someone who grew up with video games. It's sort of like self-referential horror, like with Scream movies, or it's like
what Carmack wanted to be, and couldn't quite do. Gabe did.
Carmack is a genius, but he has that Sam Altman can't quite look at him straight thing going on, where he's like, "I am a human." You're like, "No, you're not. You're not. It's okay. You don't have."
Gabe
don't
did
even
something right. Gabe did something right.
Yeah, Gabe is absolutely human. In fact, he's a little too human. But
And I think that's part of it. He kept his private life private, and so he gets to have his humanity.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, good for him. I mean, honestly, but
real quickly, before we get into the back of the book, which is tips, picks, whiskey, and we missed the whiskey selection of the week, I would just like to mention Club TWiT, because I think it's really important that you know that there's a way to support what we do here. Oh man. Joe, you've been saving this. Joe's been working hard.
he's had too much time off.
Yeah, I think during the holidays, Joe was working hard and trying to create something for us. Let me see if I can pull this up here. I'm in the wrong Discord. That's why I don't see it. Here
I'll slow you now.
I'm in the Kagi Discord. Must have clicked a button. Ladies and gentlemen, Club TWiT. Your secrets to starting the year off right, enjoying your Club TWiT subscription, of course, and gifting subs to others. If you're not yet a member, I like the hairpiece, by the way. If you're not yet a member of Club TWiT, you're missing a bunch of wonderful things. Club TWiT is the way we raise money for these shows. You might say, but Leo, you've got advertisers. Well, we do. I don't want to be beholden to advertising, and frankly, advertising can be inconsistent, shall we say? Whereas you, the people who support these shows, we know we can count on you. We've got some great club members. Thank you to all of you. If you join the club, you don't have to hear this plug ever again. You also don't have to hear any of our ads. You just get the shows. You also get access to the Club TWiT Discord, where people like Joe create fun stuff. The conversation is always great in the Club TWiT Discord. Actually, when I missed you guys, I would go into the Club TWiT Discord and we'd talk with the club members during the holiday break. That's where it is. That's where it's happening. You also get special programming. We do a lot of special programming in the club. In fact, we've got some events coming up. We're going to do a Home Theater Geeks recording on Monday, the 12th, Micah's Crafting Corner next Wednesday, the 14th. That's a chill place to kind of get together with Micah. He's doing Lego. You can do whatever kind of craft you want, cooking, coding, knitting, crochet, painting, whatever. Photo time is that Friday, a week from Friday, photo time with Chris Marquardt. Our assignment is glamorous. You get another week to take some glamorous photos and submit them. Stacy's Book Club at the end of the month. We're doing a really great sci-fi book, The Heist of Hollow London. Really fun. But I can go on. There's the point is that the club lets us do this special programming that's not sponsored. It pays for the special programming. It makes it possible for us to do this. It pays for a lot more than that. 25% of our operating costs are paid by the club. Producers, hosts, all the hosts but me. Lisa and I, the way it works, we got to pay all the bills first. And if there's anything left over afterwards, we get that. And there often isn't. So, but I'm not worried about that. The club is paying for everything else, and that's what's important. If you're not yet a member, it's $10 a month, $120 a year. There are, from time to time, we do offer codes. There isn't one right now, but there is a deal for people who are in businesses. They want to buy it for their coworkers or for your family and so forth. Find out all the details. Club TWiT is at twit.tv/club TWiT. If you like the stuff you see on TWiT and you want to keep going, the best way to do that join the club. And I say that in all seriousness. This year, just a little inside baseball, but we outsourced all of our advertising, which I think we needed to do. Lisa was going crazy doing all of that. Let me close this out. But that means that it's been a little slow for the first quarter, and it might continue to be slow. Nobody's as good as Lisa at selling those ads. So we are going to probably need a little more help from the club. So, my goal, I would love it if we didn't have to have ads at all. It was just entirely listener supported. That was always the dream from 20 years ago to now. In fact, in the first few years of TWiT, I said, never going to have any advertisers. But I realized pretty quickly we couldn't grow and do the shows like this that we wanted to do. So we did take on advertising. But I would love to get back to that original notion of the listeners pay for the content. That's how it should be. Anyway, show us that it works. Cast your vote. twit.tv/clubtwit. Hey, everybody. Leo Laporte here with a little bit of an ask. Every year at this time, we'd like to survey our audience to find a little bit more about you. As you may know, we respect your privacy. We don't do anything. In fact, we can't do anything to learn about who you are. And that's fine with me. I like that. But it helps us with advertising. It helps us with programming to know a little bit about those of you who are willing to tell us. Your privacy is absolutely respected. We do get your email address, but that's just in case there's an issue. We don't share that with anybody. What we do share is the aggregate information that we get from these surveys. Things like 80% of our audience buy something they heard in an ad on our shows, or 75% of our audience are IT decision makers. Things like that are very helpful with us when we talk to advertisers. They're also very helpful to us to understand what operating systems you use, what content you're interested in. So, enough. Let me just ask you, if you will, go to twit.tv/survey26 and answer a few questions. It should only take you a few minutes of your time. We do this every year. It's very helpful to us. Your privacy is assured, I promise you. And of course, if you're uncomfortable with any question or you don't want to do it at all, that's fine too. But if you want to help us out a little bit, twit.tv/survey26. Thank you so much. And now, back to the show. All right, I've gone on too long. Let's go to the back of the book. Paul Thurrott, kick it off. Your tip of the week.
I believe that the Icelandic whiskey was called Flocky. If you're looking to ignore,
was it?
You're looking for something to ignore.
Flocky.
You need a little flock in your life. So to Leo's point earlier, I feel like one of the big focuses I'm going to have this year is going to be on what I think of as little tech, right? Alternatives to big tech, right? And not through some kind of like knee jerk, like I just have to get off of everything. Like, you want to do the right thing for yourself, whatever. But increasingly, I feel like well, we'll see. I mean, right now, I still prefer Windows, to whatever else. But on a phone, you don't have a choice. I mean, you're going to run some one of two major platforms. I mean, that's what we have. But I just feel like we're in a golden era of what I'm calling little tech solutions. The Notions of the world, Proton, all the alternate browsers, et cetera. A lot of stuff, right? But I was thinking about this in terms of AI, and I know this is also something Leo's been looking at a lot. And there's little AI, so to speak, in the cloud, which can take the form of something like Proton Lumo, or what Opera's doing with Neon, or what DuckDuckGo's doing with Duck AI, where in some cases it's literally open source models, or in some cases it's a front end to a bigger AI model, but anonymizing your data back and forth, which is also kind of interesting. And then there's, of course, local AI, right, which has been around for a little while, but it's technical and difficult. It's not as capable, et cetera. It's not as fast, which is kind of interesting.
What's interesting, though, is it's only 6 months, I would say, behind.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Yeah. This is a good enough area, I think, or it's going to be soon, where, depending on your needs, you might be able to get by. Like, I feel like people round robin through the free tiers of whatever AIs are out there and try different things. But I think this is going to be the year. Like, we're going to have this stuff. We're going to run it locally. It's going to be fine. Like, it's not always, maybe it's not going to be perfect. Like, if you use DuckDuckGo, the search engine, or Brave Search or what's it called, Kaji or whatever.
Kagi. I love, yeah.
But Kagi is actually maybe not a good example because that works really good. But you might find yourself in a situation where you're like, every once in a while, you just like, all right, I got to go to google.com and just figure this thing out. But a lot of the times, like these things are just fine, you know? And I feel like that's where AI is going to be. But I've been kind of struggling to find something good as like a local, I'm going to call it a client. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into this because there are local AI models that run against just the CPU, which is not necessarily great. Maybe the GPU if you have that, maybe an NPU if you're really lucky. And then there are these kind of front-end apps. And so I suspect Leo will have something to say about this. But I've looked at things like LM Studio, kind of a classic, which, by the way, has a native Windows 11 on ARM client. Anything LLM. The one I kind of like the most is called Jan AI.
Jan's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And like it's
I've used all three. I use LM Studio mostly, but Jan is fantastic. Yeah. It looks and feels like ChatGPT. So I feel like it's the only little trick to it, and this is not going to be a problem for anyone watching this show, is you have to go pick a model, you know? So there's a giant model list. It's not really super clear where these things are going to run against. There's different versions of the same models that have different. Yeah, that's where it gets a little weird.
It's a little, and then you'll see little descriptions where like, this one's good for coding or this one's good for whatever it is. I saw one that was good for health, you know, for example. This is not going to be every week. I mean, but throughout this year, I think this is something I'm going to try to spend a little bit more time on and try to kind of figure this out. And in writing about little tech, I realized, you know, there's this kind of weird problem because big tech is obvious, right? If you look at the top 100 companies in the world by market cap, 8 of the top 10 are tech companies, right? Amazon, Alphabet, Microsoft, etc., Apple, whatever. Little tech companies are pretty obvious, right? The smaller companies. But I feel like there's this giant area in the middle, a gray area. I don't know what to call it. It's like, this is where like Spotify is, which is like, you know, kind of some big tech tendencies, but not big tech, or Epic Games, which is big enough that it could take on Apple and Google in court and spend the billions of dollars that required and kind of help all of us in the end. We'll see. And it's like, do we need is there like a middle tech or a medium tech or something? It's like, I don't think so. I think ultimately when it comes to picking whatever it is you're using, like some kind of product, service, whatever it is, platform, ultimately it's about trust. And I feel like the trust has been lost with big tech by and large because they're insurifying all their products and you can tell they don't care about you as a customer and that there's no version of me voting with my wallet where they're going to listen or care. So the thing that to me defines a little tech company is not just that they're little, although that's in the name, but that they're little enough that they actually have competition, they care about their customers, and that relationship still matters. Like it's a two-way street. So whether you're paying for that stuff or not, it's something you can trust, and they actually are seeking to do the right thing for you as a customer. So those companies exist in all different sizes, and you might be able to find an example of that in the big tech space, but I'm not going to hold my breath because I don't think there's a lot of that anymore. I think that's pretty much going away.
All of them are using your data for other purposes. I mean, that's sort of the big metric. They get to a certain size where the value of that data is so great, there's just no way they're going to protect your privacy.
Yeah. There's these stories. They're not anecdotal. I mean, but like, one of Cory Doctorow talks about this all the time. This is the moment where Google search had hit the ceiling, I guess. They dominated the market. There was nowhere to go. They had all the customers. They'd have to wait for a new generation of people to come along to get more customers. Like, what are you going to do? And so some guy at Google was like, I have an idea. Let's make it worse. And that way, people will have to search 2-3 times in a row, and then we'll serve more ads, and we'll make more money, and that will be better for us. And that's what they did. And you're like, nice. I hate this company, and now what? So that's what we're dealing with. And so, like I said, this will be kind of a focus this year. We'll see how it goes. But little tech, so to speak, is not just, Proton VPN and Notion and whatever else you're thinking of. Think about it in terms of AI too, because like Leo said and I said too, like this is the year. I think it's going to be good enough. I think for most people, for most things, we'll see. But I think that's going to be a big space.
It's clearly going to get better and better.
It clearly gets better and better on like a weekly, monthly basis. I mean, that's the
regularly.
thing. Yeah. I did some queries through Gen AI where I waited for it, right? You sit there and you wait. And it's doing its thing and it's talking to you a little bit and you're like, whatever. And then I even go to Copilot, which I think we can all agree is not the greatest thing in the world. And I asked it actually, what was it? I can almost come. It was it was give me, it's something simple, like give me a summary of all of the movies in this series. And I can't remember what the movie series was. And, the Conjuring series, because it was a Conjuring movie that just came out in late 2025. None of them knew about it, right? The local thing was wrong in a couple of cases, and it took a while. And then I just did it in Copilot. It was like, boop, 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 it just came right out. So even Copilot was like, no problem. But of course, it had to burn down a forest to make that happen, and I think polluted all of Oregon or something. No. But so, well, I'm exaggerating slightly, but
Jan comes with its own model, which they've tuned.
Yeah.
Let me see how. I just asked it what the Star Wars movies are in chronological order, and it's doing a thinking thing. So it's telling
This is the thing. So, like, if you asked like ChatGPT this thing, right? That would come out almost instantaneously.
Right.
So this thing, what it's doing is it's like, all right,
it's running locally. It's running on my little MacBook Air.
Right. But someday, and it's not someday like 2030, 2040. It's like someday this year, or whatever. Like this will be pretty quick. Like it's definitely getting there.
So it's interesting. It's doing a lot of thinking here. It's kind of fun to watch it. This is a controversial question.
Yeah, it is.
And because this is not the other thing it shows you is how many tokens per second it's doing.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And because this isn't a machine with a lot of RAM, only 24 gigs.
And this model, do you actually have any understanding of what processor or processors it's running against? Is it just CPU, or do you even know?
I'm sure because this is an M2, it's using. It doesn't matter. It's because it's all in. Okay. Yeah, but that's a good question. The Jan model is pretty tuned for all of this. And so, by the way, when you download Jan, which is free, you get you don't have to use other models. You can say it says quick start, use my model, and they've done a lot of tuning for this. So it's really, this is going on. This is quite confused.
I mean, if someone was talking to you like this
it's repeating itself.
At a dinner party, you'd be like, I'm just going to interrupt you here.
Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't looking for a thesis on this topic.
Really
I just,
care that much, but I'll just, people should be playing with this at the very least.
100%. Yep. The trick is just finding, there's a lot of tricks. Like you want to find the right app, I guess. You could use Visual Studio Code for this, by the way. And that's what I was using for a while.
Yeah.
But I wanted to find something that was a little more like someone like my wife, a normal person who could look at this and be like, okay, this looks like ChatGPT or whatever, like Copilot. It's a little slower. Yeah. Okay. I get that. But it'd be nice if you could find something that was optimized for either the types of work that you're doing, like whatever that might be, and for me, I'd really like to find things that ran off the NPU if possible, but the GPU otherwise, if that's a thing. Like I'm trying to, because when I first looked at this in Visual Studio Code, that was kind of the deal. Like you could filter the view to, I only want things that are running off a GPU, an NPU or whatever, which I kind of liked. But anyway.
It was thinking for a long time and has finally decided to give me a list.
It did. So is it correct? And did it try to fit in other things? Well, the thing that was
smart about is I asked it an ambiguous question. The movies in chronological order could be in release date.
Oh,
It thought about this and decided, no, I'm going to do it on in-universe time.
There you go, which is probably what
it's not so hard.
But it's stuck to the movies, right?
The episode
doesn't
stuck
have
to the movies. Well, I said movies, I think. So I should have just said.
I know you did, but you know how like this could be like, Rogue One could be in there.
Right, there could be a lot more.
The Star Wars Holiday Special is canon. I think
pretty easy to answer because the episodes are numbered by Roman numerals.
That's right.
But that's a good test.
I agree.
15 tokens a second is pretty slow. You'd want maybe closer to 40.
Yeah.
But this is local and it's running on a kind of underpowered machine. So I think, that's kind of cool. And I don't think it's doing web search. That's the other thing that if you got more sophisticated with something like Studio LM, you could add a web search component. Which would make it
these
smarter.
things support this kind of. You can.
You probably can.
I guess.
Huh?
You can. You can be like, here's
it has a web
folder
search icon. Yeah.
Yeah, and you could also put it on files. Like you could say, look, we're going to work on this.
That's right. You can attach documents. Okay, so this is all. Jan makes it very easy. Actually, I'm very impressed. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. To me, that's the one that's the most like a normal consumer app or whatever.
So then you have to add a browser extension if you want to have it be.
I'll work with
it. It has a browser MCP, so that's cool for Chrome browsers. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Does this mean?
Well,
you have more?
Sorry, just one real quick. I just wanted to do a straight up. I guess it's not really an app, but Bonjour is the new tab extension I use in all the browsers I use. It works in basically everything, although Opera makes it really hard to change that. And actually, Vivaldi, I believe, makes it impossible. But other than that, if you've ever used Momentum, it's like that. It's just a minimalist kind of new tab experience, which is essentially the homepage, right? And so I just have, you can see the picture. I mean, I have just two sets of icons I don't use bookmarks, right? So everything I need is.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's a neat little, it's free. It's 100% free. They just added a Pomodoro timer if you're into that kind of thing, and improved the UI quite a bit, actually. But it's always been pretty great. And I love it. I use it everywhere.
So this is your start page? What is this?
It's essentially the home. It's the new tab page, but meaning in today's world, that's like the home page, right? Like
on your browser,
on every whatever browser, like whatever.
That's nice that it's any browser. Yeah.
Yep. And because it syncs like this, like it, I sign into Edge or Chrome or whatever, I get this. It's the same. I don't have to. You can back it up to a JSON file if you want, if you need to, and I do. Yeah. But it just works. Like it's great.
And that's Bonjour with two R's, Bonjour.
Yes, yes. It's the British spelling. I don't know.
Bonjour.
Yeah, but it's pretty, did I stutter? Yeah, a little bit.
Right. That's nice. I'm going to install that. That's cool. It works with Firefox and Chrome. I like it a lot. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, Richard. Time to talk about RunAs Radio.
First show of the new year. So the two shows that didn't get air that we didn't talk about because we were off were the show I did with Paul about what Windows wants for Christmas.
Two front teeth.
Two front teeth. and then I always do a show that sort of here's my thoughts on being a sysadmin in the next year, which is a popular show. I got a lot of feedback on that one as usual, and it comes a lot from the conversations we have too. Just like
so, those would be 1016 and 1017.
That's right. And so 1018 is this week's show published today. And this is one that I recorded before Christmas at a conference with Cecilia Weirin. That's when we were in Lithuania together for Build Stuff. And she comes from a strong DevOps background. So very much living between the developers and the operations folks, and really focused on how you get software out in the field and monitor it and manage it and so forth. And so we were talking about AI tooling and just like what administrators can get from this, because often it's about hammering through log problems and dealing with reliability. And so she talked about a bunch of third-party tools, not just all the Microsoft stuff. So we had a great chat and just another picture for administrators on stuff you can do to make yourself more productive, as well as tools to help you understand the state of affairs and help you get through other issues. So there's so many moving parts. It's good to keep checking in every so often, saying, where are we at now? What do you think? And then this was one of those shows.
RunAs Radio, 1018. Mm-hmm. RunAs Radio.
1018.com.
And now we have a special label. This is the new Windows Whiskey. It is premium small batch whiskey, thanks to Darren.
Oh, man.
That's a ChatGPT creation, I think.
Yeah, it looks like it.
No flocking was used in the making of this whiskey.
I guess we could put together, if people wanted a Windows whiskey, we could put together a custom bottling. I'd go hunt down a barrel and be somewhere between 200 and 250 bottles.
How much a bottle would it be?
I guess that depends on what you price.
No, they'd probably be 100, 150 a bottle.
If you could put Flocky in it, would it be less?
Yeah, it would be $70 a bottle.
I mean, Maker's Mark used to do this, so we could go bourbon route. But you can also, I happen to be going to Scotland at the end of the month, in between the NDC conference in London and the Svitag in Stockholm. Going to pop up to Glasgow, hang with my friend David, and we booked tours at Bendronach and the new Macallan tour. The Masters of the Ages. So we're going to be sampling some pretty high-end Macallans to.
That sounds terrible. I'm so sorry you have to do that.
Listen, my life is hard, and I struggle to get through. But it's those few days before I got to be over to Sweden and do the thing. So that's how we're going to fill it in. But that's not the whiskey we're talking about today. This is a whiskey that I got over Christmas, which is the Singleton of Dufftown, which is a 12.
Where is Dufftown?
Dufftown is a town in the northeastern corner of the Spey, and it has 6 distilleries in it. It is literally the center of Spey.
Wow. So this is a Speyside.
This would be, except that it's weird way, as is typical of me when it's like, oh, it's a whiskey. Fine. You taste it. That's interesting. Let's read about it. It's bizarre what's going on here. So first thing is, Singleton is an old term used to represent a single barrel of whiskey. That is not how this is being used. In fact, it's the exact opposite of how this is being used. So that's really going on now. The term, the Singleton, this edition, is started by an organization called International Distillers and Vintners. And this group was formed in 1962 when another 2 companies, the United Wine Trainers and W&A Gilbey, merged. And United Wine Trainers owned another group called Justerini and Brooks. And that's the names behind the J&B Rare. Oh. Now, J&B Rare is a very old blended whiskey, like very old as in first bottled in 1749. Right? So even in the 60s, they were selling 1 million cases a year. Like, it'd been around a long, long time. W.A. Gilbey was in the booze business too. They made gin, and they owned the Glen Spey distillery. And IDV starts a brand new distillery called Orthrusk, which is spelled Auchroisk. So nobody knows how to pronounce it. And this is the 1970s. So they bought 220 acres of land that was an existing barley farm and set up a new distillery on it. Although for the first few years, of course, it was, as they're aging their own whiskey, they're mostly making stuff to go into J&B Rare. By the time they get to 86, realizing what a mistake using a name like Orthrusk is, they call it instead the Singleton. So that's where the term comes from. And they had a vision, a good idea. This is 1986. Because at that time, most people were still drinking blends. And those who drank single malts, it was a very snobbish time for whiskey. There was not a lot of branding going on with single malts. You kind of had to know what you were buying. And they were very simple whiskeys, but if you don't know what you're buying, like it's impossible. And so most people talk to blends just because you knew what you were getting and it was kind of consistent. The Glenfiddich had only just started emerging as a single. They coined the term single malt. Was starting to sell that way, and so the idea was let's make a super approachable single malt. And they did a few things that were important. One was, it was a Speyside, so it was a very light, easy drinking whiskey anyway. But then they also finished it in sherry to put more color into it, and ultimately also started doing caramel coloring to make it a darker looking whiskey, because that's what the blend folks are familiar with. And so this was a single malt that looked like a blend. You could drink it well. And they did well. Like, they did win some awards, but it didn't sell particularly well because it was still a single malt. It was fairly pricey. Now, IDV gets pulled in through another set of mergers with Metropolitan and Guinness, which ultimately comes Diageo. And Diageo is the 800-pound gorilla in the whiskey business, right? I just read back over and looked at the numbers again. Diageo owns over 100 brands of whiskey and something like 35 of the 60-something distilleries that exist in Scotland, plus other distilleries all over the world. And so when Diageo in 2006 looks at the Singleton and says, well, this isn't working, but we like this idea of doing what you would call a recruitment malt, a whiskey to get people into drinking whiskey. The problem is you got to get the
you mean
price
the
down.
first one's free?
Yeah, that kind of thing. And the trick here is to get the price down. You're used to drinking J&B Rare or Bell's or Famous Grouse and so forth at $20 a bottle. And suddenly I'm throwing $100 a bottle at you. You're like, you're not going to do it. So how do I get the price down? And they found a way. And the way was to use a single branding, the Singleton, across 3 different distilleries, which kind of undermines the whole idea of a single malt, but they're not blending them. What they're actually doing is Diageo owns these 3 distilleries, the Dufftown Distillery, the Glendula Distillery, and Glen Ord. They also own Orusk, but they're not using that for the Singleton anymore. It's still going to J&B Rare. It's not part of the Singleton plan. But they're using the overproduction from the distillery. So when they have excess barrels that they aren't going into blends, then they make Singleton. And that way they get it down to $45 a bottle. So it's a weird whiskey in the sense of it depends on where it's coming from. So I got to kind of talk about the 3 distilleries because they're not the same. And we'll start with Dufftown because A, it's the one I've got, and also it's a town, right? Like it's the whiskey town. And every time I'm in Scotland, I spend a little time in Dufftown. It's been a town for 1,500 years. You know, there's evidence of the picks there in the 500s. It is literally on the River Fiddick, so where the term Glenfiddich comes from, and that's the largest distillery in Dufftown. Glenfiddich, Balvenie on the same grounds as Glenfiddich, Mortlock, which we've talked about, Kinnivi, which is owned by the Glenfiddich folk, and then these other 2 distilleries, the Dufftown Distillery and the Glendulin Distillery. There are 3 other distilleries that are in Dufftown that are now closed. There's Conville, which was opened from 1894 to 1985, and now its land is used by Glenfiddich for barrel storage. Parkmore, 1894 to 1988, now owned by Edrington, that's Famous Grouse, and the Macallan, they also whiskey storage, and Pittyvake, which was a modern distillery built in 1974, shut down in 1993, torn down in 2002. So the Dufftown Distillery, again, 1895, one of the old distilleries, originally operated by the Mackenzie Company until 1933. Then it was taken over by Arthur Bells and Sons, who make the Bells blended whiskey, and that's primarily what Dufftown was used for, is to go into blends. And they've got I consider a relatively large operation, 4 million gallons a year, or 4 million liters a year, with 12 washbacks and 3 wash stills and 3 spirit stills. And when they have excess capacity that's not going into Bells, they make the Singleton. But that Singleton edition, the one they call Dufftown, the Singleton of Dufftown, is primarily sold in Europe. And you will notice I bought it in Canada. So much for that. Glendulin, also in Dufftown, started roughly around the same time, 1896, by William Williams, who named that guy. Got merged into the Distillers Company in 1925, had a full rebuild in 1962, and then they built an additional distillery in 1972, and then shut down the old one a few years later. Also similar size to the Dufftown Distillery, 3.7 million liters a year, and they're primarily in blends. Williams and Old Parr are made with Glendulin, and then they make this version of the Singleton, which they say they primarily sell in North America. The weird one in this group is the Glen Ord Distillery. This is actually at an area called Black Isle, which is west of Inverness. It's not the space. Normally it's a highland, but it's a highland the same way Dalmore is a highland. Like it's way off in the northwest. It's not really in the highlands at all. It's relatively close to the water. It's a much older distillery. There are records of distilleries on the Black Isle going back to the 1600s. This one was officially licensed in 1838, recognizing that the excise tax law comes in 1824, right? And it was owned by a wealthy family in the area who licensed it to a bunch of operators, most of which went broke. And in 1923, it got sold to John Dewars and Son, as in Dewars, which means that in 1925, they're acquired by Distillers Corporation, DCL. Interesting about Glen Ord, it's a much bigger operation. So in 1961, they stopped doing floor maltings, the old-fashioned way of malting barley and turning it with a shovel. They switched to this thing called a Saladin box, invented by a French guy, and that is a 50-meter, like 150-foot long, big steel box with augers in it to turn the malt over, plus they push air through that to let it mature. They ran that for less than a decade, and then they switched over to drum maltings, which they still use today. In fact, Diageo, which of course owns Glen Ord, has expanded the drum malting system there, and it's actually where malt comes from for all the northern distilleries that Diageo owns. Like 9 or 10 of them do all of the malt out of Glenord. But the facility itself is huge, 10 million liters a year, and they make several other whiskeys as well as a version of the Singleton that's supposedly only sold in Asia. And there's the Singleton itself, you can get into 12 or 15 and 18, plus it comes from possibly one of these 3 distilleries. So you don't know which is which. They're all cut to 40%. They're all colored to be consistent, and they typically sell for about $45. But it brings back the core question, which is it any good? And the answer is sure. Now, I've had the Dufftown edition, which is a Speyside. So it's very mild. It's a very easy drinking, like they call it a recruitment malt. This is a whiskey for someone who's never really had a whiskey or doesn't like whiskey per se, because it's very easy drinking. There's certainly no peat in it. There's no real heat to it. It's a 40% alcohol. It's a good way to get into a whiskey. But if you like whiskey, you're probably going to skip it because it's just not that interesting. It's just a pretty straightforward, basic whiskey, a whiskey that people who like blended whiskey would drink. Notice the bottle style is a little different if you're looking at the picture of it, where we have a very typical whiskey bottle, especially for single malt side, sort of wine glass style bottle with a little ball half up close to the neck. This is sort of the flask style bottle, the flattened.
Looks like something that should go in a brown paper bag. I'll be honest.
Totally. Yeah. But it's what's funny is they call it the Singleton, and it's everything but a Singleton. 3 different distilleries making it, like it's just kind of all over the map. But it is a strategy by Diageo to create this thing they call a recruitment malt. And it's successful. It sells well. I think that's mostly due to its price. It's probably the lowest price single malt you could lay your hands on.
Very interesting. Mm-hmm. You're not recommending it?
Look, like I said, I'd keep one around to introduce somebody new to whiskey, but you could also do that with a Dalmore 18, but that's a $400 bottle of whiskey.
Yeah, I'm not going to introduce him to that whiskey with that. No, unless I really like it.
As a wannabe software developer, I'm distressed by the use of the term singleton to describe something else, but that's okay.
Yep. No, and you're totally right. Like, it's a challenge to search on that term. And I was also going after the old term because I had read from guys like Gordon MacPhail, they used to have a thing they called singleton, which was, we have this single barrel, so we're making the singleton. But, Diageo is a marketing machine. And your chances when you search on singleton of getting the object-oriented mindset programming behavior versus this bottle of whiskey, pretty low. Yeah, they've definitely buried it.
Somebody in the chat room said, how many of these whiskey segments end with the phrase, which was eventually acquired by Diageo?
Yeah, exactly. Or ... some Japanese whiskey company.
Or Suntory.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of companies acquired by Diageo. It's all made by Diageo in the end.
Diageo, Suntory, Pernod Ricard, Edrington. These literally only, there's almost no independence.
This is true. This happens everywhere. Like, there are only 4 or 5 major beer companies in the world. Like,
that's right. And record companies and movie companies and et cetera, et cetera.
And one ebook company. Not really, but almost.
Which eventually became Diageo. And all podcasts will someday become Diageo.
We would like to thank our overlords at Diageo.
I like the Demolition Man version of all restaurants are Taco Time.
I love that. I loved that.
Taco Bell. That's very funny.
That was hysterical. This is the upscale Taco Bell we're going to.
It's almost meat.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have concluded the first show of 2026, the first Windows Weekly of 2026. It's so good to get you guys back on track. Next week, they'll be together on the beach in Acapulco.
Might be. Yeah,
it'd be fun if we did it from the beach.
I know. We should see if we
as long as you don't need to hear us, it'll work just fine because the ocean here is pounding.
We're both going to do a cliff dive thing. It'll be fun.
Can you swim in the beach by you?
If you go far enough out in the water that you could really swim, you'll get hit by a riptide and yanked out of there.
Yeah.
The lifeguards will get pretty angry with you.
I love going to Mexico, but a lot of the beaches are red flagged. Oh, right. Here we go. Yeah. Get ready. We're going to the beach. Everybody, now don't go too far out because you might get riptided out to... let's see. It's got to adjust for the... it's a little bright.
It's awfully bright there, Richard. Do I need 2 sunglasses?
I think he's turned off the...
I'm trying
auto
to...
gain on his camera.
Yeah.
Wow. There we go.
Even that is pretty blown out.
No, you need an ND filter. You got to really...
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Just put your sunglasses over it.
Yeah, it's just fully white.
So, Paul, bring your sunscreen, I guess, would be the advice.
I'm super sensitive to light. That's going to be...
Yeah, and sunglasses. Oh, man, I'm so jealous.
Oh, I think I got it.
Oh, look at he's dialing it in. There's the sparkling waters of Acapulco Bay.
So it's the west side, so the ocean never stops pounding, so it is loud.
Yeah, you're on the Pacific.
When we were in PV last year, we had a balcony facing the golf course, so it was a bit quieter. We could sit out there. I don't think it's practical this time around.
In Hawaii, it can be like this too, where it's just like the ocean sound never stops. But you might want that when you're sleeping.
Loud. I like that. I mean,
I like it too. I mean, I have to go to the bathroom all the time, but it's
yeah, right.
I like that too, but that's literally my house at home, right? Like that's what I'm used to. So
yeah, I love the ocean sounds.
Yeah.
Oh well. I'd love to be in Acapulco right now. In fact, I think it's time for a taco, Richard. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Chance to do something, but
I think we saw somebody peek around the corner saying, "Are you done?"
Oh yeah. No.
Are you done?
Can I use the internet, please? I just want to buy something on Amazon. Nothing? No?
She wants to make a call.
Oh,
right.
Well, good. Well, we're going to let you go now. Richard Campbell is at runasradio.com. That's where we find Run As Radio and .NET Rocks, his podcast he does with Carl Franklin. And, of course, he joins us here for Windows Weekly every Wednesday. Paul ThreatLocker is at ThreatLocker.com. If you're a premium member, you'll see there's a lot of additional content, but there's plenty to read at ThreatLocker.com. His books are at leanpub.com, talking about plenty to read. The Field Guide to Windows 11 has Windows 10 built right in. He also is the author of Windows
It's soft
Everywhere.
nougaty center.
Yes, tasty. And each week we get together to talk about Microsoft round about 11 Pacific. That would be, 11, 12, 13... 1400 1400 East Coast time. That would be 1900 UTC. You can watch us live on Twitch, on YouTube, on X, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Kick. Of course, if you're in the club, you can watch on the Discord as well. We do stream it live, but you don't have to watch live. We do make a podcast out of this, and you can download that audio or video from our website, twit.tv/WW. There's a YouTube channel dedicated to Windows Weekly, so you can go there, especially if you want to share a clip with somebody. That's a great way to do it. Or subscribe in your favorite podcast client. You get it automatically as soon as we are done. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Richard. Thanks to all our winners and dozers and our special club members. We appreciate you all. And we will see you all next week on Windows Weekly.